Chapter 1085. When Lucifer heard Meng Po's order, he shuddered and hurriedly bowed. Yes, mistress. Meng Po was an obedient wife in front of Yichun. When she was not in front of Yichun, Meng Po was a cold and unapproachable Daluo Jinxian. When she gave orders, Meng Po would not be stingy with her aura, nor would she be stingy with her murderous aura. Meng Po was not doing this on purpose. This was her true self. To be more precise, for Yichun, Meng Po would not hesitate to kill anyone who interfered with Yichun's great cause. No matter who this person was, as long as he or she would affect Yichun, Meng Po would not hesitate to kill him or her completely. At the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia in the Three Kingdoms Newbie Zone, a black light suddenly flew out of the underworld passage and stopped. At this moment, Yichun, who had just gone to the underworld not long ago, appeared in midair. Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong, Li Yuanba, and the others who had surrounded the underworld passage heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this. Then, they bowed to Yichun and said loudly, "Greetings, Lord." As soon as the generals finished speaking, the 41 million reincarnation immortal city soldiers surrounding the underworld passage all knelt on one knee and shouted, "Greetings, Lord!" At this moment, the air was turbulent and the echoes were endless. When Yichun heard this, he nodded and waved his right hand. The underworld passage that had just been opened not long ago was instantly closed. At this moment, a world announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for successfully subduing the underworld demonic boar. Due to its special status, player Yichun is rewarded with innate attribute points x 1000. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, and it instantly caused an uproar in the world channel. Damn, it can't be. Yu of Gojoseon just killed Sangurian and subdued a underworld demonic boar in the blink of an eye. Could this demonic boar be a divine beast of the Empire of Southeast Asia? Otherwise, why would Yu of Gojoseon be rewarded with 1000 innate attribute points? Are you kidding me? The world announcement already said that the demonic boar is an underworld demonic boar. What does it have to do with the Empire of Southeast Asia? Have anything do? It can't be said that it has nothing to do with the Empire of Southeast Asia. Have you guys forgotten that Sangurian's perverted grandmother is a pig? Moreover, Yu of Gojoseon subdued the demonic boar right after he killed Sangurian? No matter how you look at it, the demonic boar must be related to the Empire of Southeast Asia. Damn, so what if it's related? It was still subdued by Yu of Gojoseon. Speaking of which, what kind of place is the underworld? Why did the world announcement add the underworld demonic boar to the demonic boar? You guys don't know, right? Let me tell you, I saw the entire process of Yu of Gojoseon subduing the demonic boar. What did you see? Damn, when Yu of Gojoseon subdued the demonic boar, he wasn't even in the Empire of Southeast Asia, okay? Damn, what's going on? Hurry up and tell us. What are you talking about? Damn, I wouldn't dare to say anything about Yu of Gojoseon. Are you trying to harm me? Forget it. Since Yu of Gojoseon didn't avoid you guys when he subdued the demonic boar, he definitely doesn't care about this. Even if you don't say anything, Yu of Gojoseon won't be angry. Moreover, who is Yu of Gojoseon? He's the #1 player in the East. How could he kill you over such a small matter? Do you really think you're a big shot? Let me tell you, Yu of Gojoseon just went into a dark whirlpool and disappeared. However, not long after, Yu of Gojoseon came out of the dark whirlpool. After that, the world announcement appeared. That means Yu of Gojoseon just went to the Nether Realm? That's definitely the case. Although I don't know what kind of world the Nether Realm is, it's not hard to make a judgment based on how quickly Yu of Gojoseon came back. That place is definitely more advanced than the game world we're in now. Damn, do you guys think that the Nether Realm is the celestial realm that we always talk about? Celestial realm, my ass. The celestial realm is the celestial realm, and the Nether Realm is the Nether Realm. How many worlds are there in this game? I don't know. Anyway, I only know one thing. work hard to fight monsters, and become stronger. The world announcement was abuzz with activity. The topic quickly shifted to discussions about the game world. Yichin couldn't help but raise his eyebrows after seeing the world announcement. Although the various hidden forces knew about cultivation in advance due to their own opportunities, they didn't know about the Nether Realm. Now that the world announcement was released, coupled with the players' discussion, they couldn't sit still. The various hidden forces had always wanted to use Yichin to deal with the shifters in the real world. That way, they could benefit from it. Yichin naturally knew about this. He had also thought about cleaning up the hidden forces. However, the problem was that Yichin didn't know how many hidden forces there were. He also didn't know the exact locations of these hidden forces in the real world. Therefore, even if Yichin wanted to make a move, he didn't know where to start. After all, Yichin wasn't someone who killed indiscriminately. Even if Yichin had killed tens of millions of people, it was still the same. At first glance, it seemed ridiculous. After killing so many people, it wasn't indiscriminate killing. What a joke. However, that was the truth. After all, those people that Yichin had killed were either people who plotted against Yichin or people who were enemies with Yichin. If killing such people was considered indiscriminate killing, that would be true nonsense. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Yichin wouldn't let the hidden forces go. It was also because of this reason that Yichin had deliberately let the Eastern players at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia see him opening the passage to the Nether Realm and entering the Nether Realm. Because of this, combined with the world announcement, it would send an extremely accurate message to all players. In the game world, other than the Immortal Realm, there is also the Nether Realm, which has infinite possibilities. This way, the various hidden forces would definitely set their sights on the Nether Realm. After all, the Nether Realm was a high-level world. Moreover, it was a high-level world that even Yichin couldn't stay in for long. Such a world was a bountiful land. As long as they could explore it, the rewards would definitely allow them to reach the heavens in a single bound. Therefore, the various hidden forces would definitely set their sights on the Nether Realm and work hard for it. As for the rewards from the Nether Realm, many people might die. To the hidden forces, it wasn't a problem at all. As long as they could obtain the benefits of reaching the heavens in a single bound, the hidden forces wouldn't care no matter how many people died. Then, how could they go to the Nether Realm? It was very simple. As long as they could open the black vortex like Yichin, it would be enough. Then, how could they open the black vortex that led to the Nether Realm? Naturally, no one dared to ask Yichin unless they wanted to die. However, other than this, the various hidden forces were not helpless. To be more precise, the hidden forces would set their sights on other clans that were also hidden forces. After all, they had all obtained opportunities and inheritances before the meteor fell. Moreover, the opportunities that each hidden force obtained were different. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that the hidden forces that had confirmed the existence of the Nether Realm would definitely think that a hidden force like them might have information about the Nether Realm. However, because the Nether Realm was too dangerous, the clans that knew about the Nether Realm hadn't taken action. But now, the Nether Realm was no longer a secret. There was no need to continue hiding it. As long as everyone worked together, they could enter the Nether Realm and obtain benefits. Therefore, they would definitely send people to inquire about the other hidden forces' Nether Realm and then seek cooperation. Unfortunately, the outcome was destined. It was impossible for anyone to know about the Nether Realm. When all the hidden forces were empty-handed, the three parasitic souls that Yichin had subdued and possessed the identities of members of the Hidden Forces clans would definitely take the initiative to come looking for them once they deliberately released information related to the Nether Realm. Even if they were thousands of miles away, it would still be the same. Even if they really couldn't come over, they would still contact the clans of the three parasitic souls in the game world. After all, the greed attribute of hidden forces was much stronger and heavier than that of ordinary players. Therefore, it was impossible for them to hide and not move after knowing that the Nether Realm was a chance to rise. This way, Yi Chan would be able to find out who the hidden forces were and where they were through the 3 parasitic souls. As for whether they would be killed or kept, it would depend on whether these hidden forces had plotted against Yi Chan or if they had any enmity towards Yi Chan. If they didn't, Yi Chan would let them go. If they did, Yi Chan would kill them all. This was the plan that Yi Chan had casually come up with. It was very simple and a little sinister, but it was very practical. Thinking of this, Yi Chan's mind moved, and his consciousness instantly connected to the souls of the 3 members of the hidden forces who were the hosts of the parasitic souls. Then, he directly shouted through voice transmission, "Half a month from now, secretly spread the news that your clans know how to enter the Netherworld realm. Be careful not to expose your identity. When the time comes, remember which clans come. If there's any danger, summon me directly, and I'll go over immediately." Chapter 1086. As soon as Yi Chan finished his words, the 3 members of the hidden forces, who were the hosts of the soul bodies, turned solemn and bowed to Yi Chan from afar. "Yes, Master." Yi Chan raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard the reply of the 3 slaves. Then he looked straight at Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong, Li Yuanba, and the other subordinates and shouted, "Let's set off. Our destination is the giant city at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia." "Yes, Master." Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong, Li Yuanba, and the other generals became solemn when they heard this. Then they bowed and saluted loudly. Yi Chan nodded when he heard this. Then he turned into a black light and flew straight to the reincarnation Immortal Island, which was floating in the sky. Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong, Li Yuanba, and the other generals turned to the messengers beside them and shouted, "Send the order. Everyone is ready. Our destination is the giant city at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia." "Yes, General." The messengers bowed and saluted together. Then they waved the flag in their hands. In the next second, the deep and long sound of the horn was suddenly heard. Woo! At this moment, the soldiers of the reincarnation Immortal City turned their horses around and aimed at the giant city at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia. Give it Megalopolis. Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong, and the other generals looked at each other and then mounted their horses. In the next second, the war horses neighed and galloped. Then they saw Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and the other generals galloping toward the giant city at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia. When the soldiers of the reincarnation Immortal City saw this, they squeezed their horses' bellies and followed closely behind Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, and the other generals. Rumble, rumble! Tens of thousands of horses galloped and the earth rumbled. The reincarnation Immortal City's army quickly activated the haste mode. At this moment, the sand and dust, the horses' hooves shook the sky. From afar, the eyes of the Eastern players who had been watching the reincarnation Immortal City's army lit up. Yi Yu of Gojoseon has set off. We can pick up the equipment now. Damn you. You only know how to pick up the equipment. Can't you see how majestic Yi Yu of Gojoseon's army is when they march? Damn you. What does this have to do with picking up the equipment? It doesn't matter. I just want to tell you that I'm leaving first. Damn you, you son of a b****. How dare you trick me and waste my time to pick up the equipment? Stop wasting time. If we follow Yi Yu of Gojoseon, we will definitely get equipment and cultivation techniques. That's right. Let's hurry up and pick up the equipment here and head to the giant city at the border of the Empire of Southeast Asia. There must be a lot of good stuff over there. The Eastern players chatted excitedly. Then, the Eastern players surged toward the battlefield where the reincarnation Immortal City's army had wiped out the Empire of Southeast Asia's army. The ground was covered in blood and corpses, and the stench of blood filled the air. Even so, the Eastern players were not affected at all. To the Eastern players, picking up the equipment and cultivation techniques was the most important thing at this moment. If they could pick up the good stuff, they could directly upgrade the equipment and upgrade the cultivation techniques. If they could not pick up the good stuff, they could sell it for money. After all, the players were not the only ones buying the equipment and cultivation techniques in the beginner's area. The natives of the beginner's area also bought the equipment and cultivation techniques. The players could sell the equipment and cultivation techniques that they did not want it to the various forces in the beginner's area. In fact, because of the players' actions, the natives of the beginner's area were upgrading their equipment and cultivation techniques at an exponential rate. And this led to a result. The strength of the various forces in the beginner's area was rapidly increasing. It was because of the equipment and cultivation techniques. Did Yi Chun, who had single-handedly created all of this, know about this? Of course, he knew. However, Yi Chun did not care about this at all. One must know that Yi Chun's army had broken through the mortal evolution state on a large scale. Moreover, they were not affected by the Heaven Dao seal in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms at all. They could use their own abilities 100%. Just this point alone was enough for Yi Chun to crush all the native forces in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms. Moreover, Yi Chun still had Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and Huang Zhong, who were about to reach the Purple Mansion state. If they were to attack, the native forces in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms would not be able to stop the reincarnation Immortal City's army. And this was only the result from Yi Chun's subordinates. If one included Yi Chun, who was at the peak of the Tribulation Transcendent state, the natives in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms would become vassals according to history. For example, Cao Cao, Sun Quan, Yuan Shao, and the like. They were thinking too much. Yi Chun would teach them what was domineering, what was despair, and what was cruelty. And don't forget that the natives in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms could not break through the mortal evolution state. What did it mean to Yi Chun that the native forces in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms could not break through the mortal evolution state? It was very simple. They were like ants that posed no threat at all. Therefore, Yi Chun would not take this to heart at all. Rumble, rumble, tens of thousands of horses galloped, and the earth rumbled. The reincarnation Immortal City's army moved further and further away. Soon, they disappeared from the player's sight. Give it Megalopolis. Report, an anxious voice came from afar. Then, a messenger ran up to the general of Givet City in a panic. He knelt down on one knee and shouted, "Sir, the general of Givet City, the general of Givet City. General, the player army that our country sent to the border has been completely annihilated. The Great Han Empire's EU of Gojoseon's defense force is now marching rapidly toward Givet Megalopolis." The general guarding the city of Givet Megalopolis turned pale when he heard this. It was obvious that he was frightened. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like this. On the city wall, the soldiers of the Empire of Southeast Asia who were waiting around the general looked at each other. Then there was an uproar. I heard that Prince Yu of Han is ruthless. Wherever he goes, not even a blade of grass will survive. I heard that the Ghost King of the Great Han massacred everyone, leaving no one alive. What should we do? That King Yu of the Han Dynasty is the war god of the Han Dynasty. He has already destroyed the Dongzhou country, India, Polar Bear country, and Silla country. Furthermore, he did it in one day. We can't stop him. I'm sure we can't stop Prince Yu of Han. Why don't he? The soldiers of the Empire of Southeast Asia on the city wall of Givet Megalopolis panicked when they heard that the reincarnation Immortal City's army was about to arrive. Not only did they lose their will to fight, but they also had strong thoughts of retreating. At this moment, the morale of the defending army of Givet Megalopolis plummeted. In just a few breaths' time, the morale had dropped to the freezing point. The general guarding the city, who was already pale, looked even worse when he saw this. At this moment, the general guarding the city, who was also panicking because of the messenger's words, suddenly thought of something. He looked straight at the messenger and asked sternly, "Did your flying eagles see wrongly? The deity of our Indo-Mud tribe is at the border. No matter how powerful Yu of Gojoseon of the Great Han Empire is, it's impossible for him to pass through the territory of our Indo-Mud tribe so easily." Chapter 1087. As soon as the deputy general of Givit Megalopolis finished his words, the soldiers from Indochina on the city wall were stunned. Then they burst into an uproar. Yes, our deity, Sangurayan, is in the mountains not far from the border. He is guarding the border for the empire of Southeast Asia. No matter how powerful the Great Han Defense Organization is, it is impossible for them to resist our deity. That's right. Sangurayan is invincible. It is impossible for the Great Han Defense Organization to break through there. This B** starred is lying. He must be lying. The soldiers from Indochina clamored and shouted one after another. Their voices became louder and louder. The pale face of the general of Givit Giant City suddenly froze. Then he turned his head to look at the messenger, who was also a scout, and asked, "What's the matter?" He asked, "Are you sure you did not see wrongly?" The deputy general of Givit Megalopolis wanted to hear a negative answer. This was because he would not have to face the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City that had destroyed 4 countries in one day. He would not have to fight with the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City. At the same time, the messenger, who was also a scout, shivered when he heard this. Then he hurriedly shouted, General, my eagle will not send messages randomly. It really saw the Great Han Defense Organization. It also saw Sangurayan being burned into nothingness by a ball of blood-red flames. Bulsh *T. Sangurayan is the deity of Indochina. Do you know what a deity is? He is invincible. How could a mortal hurt a deity? A soldier from Indochina was furious when he heard this. Then he shouted sternly, "That's right. It is fine if great God Sangurayan does not appear. But if he appears, no one can hurt him." Another soldier from Indochina shouted loudly. When the deputy general of Givit Megalopolis heard this, he suddenly pulled out the long sword at his waist. Then he pointed at the messenger and shouted angrily, "I am a spy of the Great Han Defense Organization. I suspect that you are a spy for the Great Han Empire. You are purposely trying to disrupt the morale of the Great Han Empire. Obediently surrender, otherwise die." General, I'm not a spy. I swear that I'm really not a spy. My eagle really saw the Great Han Defense Organization and Great God Sangurayan. The messenger, who was also a scout, shuddered when he saw this. He then hurriedly shouted, General, I'm not a spy. I swear that I'm really not a spy." "Shut up." When the general of Givit Megalopolis heard this, he looked coldly at the messenger and shouted, "Intentionally disrupting the morale of the army, you deserve to die." Without any hesitation, the general drew his sword from his waist and stabbed it at the messenger. Pucci! The blood-stained tip of the sword instantly pierced through his body. "General, the Great Han Defense Organization really came." The messenger looked down at the sword that had pierced through his body and then shouted with a sorrowful expression, "Bang!" At this moment, the sharp cry of an eagle suddenly sounded from the sky. At the same time, a dull roar that shook the heavens and the earth was heard. Rumble, rumble! When the general and deputy general of Givit Megalopolis, as well as the soldiers on the city walls, heard this, they all looked in the direction of the sound. In the next second, a cavalry army that stretched as far as the eye could see appeared in front of everyone's eyes. That is... A native soldier of the Empire of Southeast Asia squinted his eyes and shouted in shock. "The Great Han Defense Organization. That is the Great Han Defense Organization." A native soldier of the Empire of Southeast Asia who saw the Han flag froze and then shouted in a shrill voice, "Yi-Yu of Gojosian's Defense Organization. That is the Yi-Yu of Gojosian's Defense Organization. I saw the Yi flag. King Yu of the Great Han is really leading his troops over. Why? Isn't there a deity of the Indochina Kingdom near the border? How could Prince Yu of Han cross over? But this cavalry army is really Yi-Yu of Gojosian's Defense Organization." That the messenger didn't lie. Prince Yu of Han really came, and Sangurayan was really burned to death. What should we do? What should we do? Should we run away? The native soldiers of the Empire of Southeast Asia on the city walls of Givit Megalopolis discussed and then fell into a state of complete chaos. Previously, the native soldiers of the Empire of Southeast Asia had lost all their morale and did not dare to fight against the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City because of the rumor that the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City had destroyed 4 countries in one day. Now that they had confirmed that the deity of the Indochina kingdom, Sangurayan, was really burned to death, they immediately collapsed. Fight? No one dared to. Run away? Everyone wanted to. However, no one dared to. Or rather, they were all waiting for someone to take the lead. The general of the Givit Megalopolis, who had stabbed the messenger to death with his sword, pulled back his sword with a gloomy face. He then looked into the distance and saw the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City stirring up a cloud of dust. He also wanted to run away from this place and not fight against the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City. The general of the Givit Megalopolis had thought that the cavalry could not attack the city and that the city walls could defend the city. However, as the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City destroyed one country after another, the general of the Givit Megalopolis gave up on this idea. If the cavalry could not attack the city, the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City would not be able to destroy 4 countries in one day. Although he did not know how the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City did it, the result was the same. Even if the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City was made up of cavalry, they could still attack the city quickly. Damn it! Why did we come here? Why did we come here? On the day of the World War, the general of the Givit Megalopolis had volunteered to guard the border city from the emperor of the Empire of Southeast Asia. This was because he did not think that the Great Han Empire was very powerful. He also did not think that the Great Han Empire would dare to attack the Empire of Southeast Asia. After all, the terrain of the Empire of Southeast Asia was complicated. There were rainforests everywhere, and miasma would appear from time to time. Moreover, there were many poisonous insects, snakes, and ants in the forests. If the Great Han Empire's defense organization entered, at least 80% of them would die. It was basically impossible. It was also because of this point of view that the general of the Givit Megalopolis took the initiative to accept the task of guarding Givit Megalopolis. He wanted to use this opportunity to gain enough military achievements and be promoted to an official, wife, and children. However, in the end, on the first day he was stationed here, he heard about the great achievement of Yu of Gojoseon of the Great Han Empire, who destroyed 4 countries in one day. Was this something that a human could do? It was definitely not. However, just as he was worried for the whole night, Yu of Gojoseon, the invincible god of war of the Great Han Empire, pointed his sword at the Empire of Southeast Asia. Not only did Yu of Gojoseon destroy tens of millions of mutants, but he also killed the ink mud deity, Sangurayan. The most important thing was that Yu of Gojoseon's army from the Reincarnation Immortal City was about to arrive at Givit Megalopolis. If they fought, they would definitely not be able to defeat them. Escape? Nonsense. As the general of the Givit Megalopolis, if he tried to escape, his entire family would be exterminated by the emperor. It was also because of this that the general of the Givit Megalopolis was in an extremely complicated mood. There was regret, hatred, fear, and despair. After the general of the Givit Megalopolis finished speaking, the deputy general of the Givit Megalopolis also confirmed that the messenger was not lying. He swallowed his saliva and then looked at the general of the Givit Megalopolis with a pale face. General, General. Chapter 1088. When the general of Givit Megalopolis heard the deputy general's words, he looked at the deputy general with a gloomy face and said, "Pass on my order. Everyone, put down your weapons, leave the city, and surrender." The deputy general of the city guard was stunned. The deputy general of the city guard original intention was to let the general of the city guard take the initiative to suggest abandoning the city and fleeing. Therefore, he called out to the general of the city guard in an attempt to guide him to make this decision. After all, the army of the Reincarnation Immortal City had come and killed the invincible and omnipotent deity, Sangurayan. Givit Megalopolis could not withstand such an army of the Reincarnation Immortal City. If they did not flee, they would definitely die. Even if they abandoned the city and fled, there was a high chance that they would be punished cruelly by the Emperor of the Empire of Southeast Asia. They still had a chance to survive. This was because the general of the city guard was the one who gave the order, not the deputy general. Therefore, as long as the general of the city guard gave the order to abandon the city and flee, he would escape without hesitation. After that, he would use his connections and spend a lot of money to settle the punishment from the Emperor of the Empire of Southeast Asia. In this way, he could choose to wait and see. Then, he would decide whether to flee from the Empire of Southeast Asia or continue to stay in the Empire of Southeast Asia. Who would have thought that the general of the city guard would give a more direct and decisive order to leave the city and surrender, just as his guidance had begun? This was not what the deputy general of the city guard had expected. How could he not be stunned? When the general of the city guard heard the deputy general of the city guard's baffled cry, he looked at the deputy general of the city guard and pointed at the approaching army of the reincarnation immortal city. Prince Yu of Han is not an ordinary person. He was able to destroy 4 countries in one day and even kill the Indo-Mud deity. This is enough to prove this point. Therefore, there is only one way out for us, which is to submit to Yi Yu of Gojoseon and follow him. Only by following Yi Yu of Gojoseon can we survive and even obtain a brighter future. When the deputy general of the city guard heard this, he was stunned for a moment. General, the Great Han Empire's Yi Yu of Gojoseon is powerful, but he can't possibly keep fighting until he conquers the entire world, right? The reincarnation immortal city's army was so strong that it made people feel suffocated and hopeless. The vice general of the city guard had already confirmed this. However, he did not think that the reincarnation immortal city's army would expand their annihilation to the entire world. After all, the world was so big and there were so many countries. If the army of the reincarnation immortal city really did that, they would run into an unavoidable problem. There was no one to manage them. That's right, no one was managing it. After all, the reincarnation immortal city had conquered too many territories. If they didn't have enough manpower to manage such a large territory, it would be no different from not conquering it at all. In that case, does the Great Han Empire have enough manpower? It was impossible. If that was the case, it would be meaningless for the army of reincarnation immortal city to continue fighting. This was the opinion of the vice general of the city guard, and also the reason why he doubted the general of the city guard. In the opinion of the vice general of the city guard, the army of the reincarnation immortal city would at most destroy the empire of Southeast Asia. Then, they would take the initiative to stop the war because the territory they could manage had reached the upper limit. As for whether the Great Han Empire's Yi Yu of Gojoseon would eventually destroy the empire of Southeast Asia, the vice general of the city guard was not sure. If the empire of Southeast Asia was destroyed, he would immediately flee from the empire of Southeast Asia. If the empire of Southeast Asia was not destroyed, he would just continue to stay in the empire of Southeast Asia. Therefore, abandoning the city and fleeing was the best choice. Otherwise, he would be courting death. This was also the reason why the vice general of the city guard changed his usual obedience and questioned the general of the city guard. After hearing the vice general of the city guard's words, the general of the city guard glanced at the vice general of the city guard and said, "Have you heard of a saying from the Great Han Empire? All the land under the heavens belongs to the king, and all the people on the shores of the land are the king's subjects?" "General, I've never heard of it." The vice general of the city guard was slightly taken aback when he heard this. When the general of the city guard heard this, he let out a long sigh and said, "The meaning is very simple. All the land under the heavens belongs to the king, and all the people living on the land are the king's subjects." Although I don't know who said this, from this sentence and Yi Yu of Gojoseon's actions, it is not difficult to see the goal of the Great Han Empire's emperor. He wants to become the ruler of the entire world. Therefore, he does not care at all whether there is anyone managing the vast territory that Yi Yu of Gojoseon has conquered. As long as the entire world hangs the flag of the Great Han Empire, it will be enough. Therefore, Yi Yu of Gojoseon of the Great Han Empire will not stop. He will continue fighting until he has conquered the entire world and destroyed all the countries outside of the Great Han Empire. Only then will he truly stop. At this point, the general of Givet City looked at the approaching cavalry of Reincarnation Immortal City that was stirring up sand and dust in the air, and then said, "So, if you want to live, the only way is to submit to Yi Yu of Gojoseon. Otherwise, no matter where you run, you will die. But, if we surrender and Yi Yu of Gojoseon doesn't accept us, then wouldn't we have no chance? Furthermore, this will also implicate our clansmen. His Majesty the Emperor will not let them off." When the Deputy General heard this, he swallowed his saliva and said, after hearing the stammering words of the general, he narrowed his eyes and said, "There is only hope if there is hope. There's only hope if we're alive. If we run away, do you think the Southeast Empire can resist King Ye's army? Then open the city gates and surrender?" After hearing the murderous words of the general stiffened and asked in a trembling voice, "Yes, open the city gates and surrender. I heard that the Great Han Empire does not kill captives. Therefore, our chances of survival are very high." When the general heard this, he nodded seriously and said, after hearing the general's words, the general hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, then I will go and give the order right away. Go. Also, don't forget to tell all the soldiers that they are not allowed to have a single weapon on them. They are not allowed to wear a single piece of armor." The general nodded and said, "Great Han Empire, Luoyang, Imperial Palace Hall." Reporting, an armored soldier with 3 flags on his back hastily rushed into the main hall. Then he knelt down on one knee and loudly said, "This is the first time I've heard of you. Reporting to your Majesty, Yu of Beach has already broken through the borders of the Empire of Southeast Asia and has begun to attack the Empire of Southeast Asia." As soon as the messenger finished speaking, Lu Hong, who was happily attending the morning court session, was slightly taken aback. Then, he suddenly stood up with a bang. "Really?" After hearing Lu Hong's question, the messenger did not dare to delay and hurriedly bowed again. "Reporting to your Majesty, Yu of Beach has indeed broken through the borders of the Empire of Southeast Asia and has begun to attack the Empire of Southeast Asia." After the messenger finished speaking, he raised the battle report in his hand high above his head. When Zhang Rang, who was standing next to Lu Hong, saw this, he walked over with a smile on his face. Then, he took the battle report and presented it to Lu Hong with both hands. When Lu Hong saw this, he took it over and opened it up to look at it. After a few breaths, Lu Hong put down the battle report and then laughed wildly. "Ha ha, good, my good son-in-law, as expected of the peerless god of war of the Great Han Empire." Although it seemed very noble, what was the reality? It was completely unreliable and did not match the military exploits of Yi Chun, Prince Yu of Han. Otherwise, the civil and military officials wouldn't be in a daze. While the civil and military officials were still in a daze, Lu Hong glanced at them and said, "Don't worry. In addition, Yu of Beach, Yi Chun, will be granted the authority to command all the soldiers of the realm." The moment Lu Hong finished speaking, all the civil and military officials were stunned, and then their faces paled. In the next second, a general stepped out of the ranks and bowed to Lu Hong, saying loudly, "Brother Lu Hong, your Majesty, you must not. Even great generals only have the authority to conscript, not to command. If you give the authority to command all the soldiers of the realm to Yi Yu of Gojoseon, it might cause a mutiny. Your Majesty, please reconsider. The authority to command all the soldiers of the realm can only be your Majesty, not another. Even King Yu Yi is not allowed to do so." When a civil official heard this, he stepped out of the ranks and bowed. "Your Majesty, please reconsider. Your Majesty, please reconsider." The civil and military officials of the court began to advise Lu Hong. Standing next to Lu Hong, Zhang Rang glanced at the civil and military officials of the court, and then he became like a meditating monk, his eyes focused on his nose and his nose focused on his heart. Others might not know why Lu Hong had suddenly granted Yi Chun the authority to command all the soldiers of the realm, but how could Zhang Rang, who was often at Lu Hong's side, not know? To be more precise, this was Lu Hong's way of probing. To be more precise, Lu Hong was worried that the civil and military officials of the court would all favor Yi Chun over Yi Chun, no longer treating him, the emperor of the Great Han Empire, as the emperor, and hoping that Yi Chun would replace him. If such a situation really occurred, then wouldn't he, Lu Hong, be in danger? Lu Hong did not want to see this sort of situation. It was precisely because Lu Hong was worried about this that he had purposely given Yi Chun the authority to command all the soldiers of the realm. It could be said that because of Zhang Rang, Lu Hong no longer feared Yi Chun, but Lu Hong was beginning to fear the civil and military officials of the court. As soon as the civil and military officials finished speaking, a satisfied look flashed across Lu Hong's eyes. He had just announced the rewards. In the next second, Lu Hong frowned slightly, then waved his hand and said, "I'm sorry." "Why not? You have beach. Yi Chun is our son-in-law. He is loyal and devoted to us and would never betray us. Your Majesty, you are the sovereign of the 9 and 5, and the entire realm belongs to your Majesty. The authority to command all the soldiers of the realm belongs to your Majesty and can only belong to your Majesty. How could anyone else replace your Majesty?" A civil official hastily bowed. A general from He Jin's faction seriously nodded his head when he heard this. Then he bowed towards Lu Hong and said, "Lu Hong, your Majesty, Yuan Sikong is correct. Only your Majesty can command all the soldiers of the realm. This lowly subject will be the first to object to anyone else." One civil official after another stepped forward to advise Lu Hong. After listening for a while, Lu Hong let out a long sigh and said, Fine. Since that's the case, I'll crown you of beach, Yi Chun, as the war god of the Great Han. Your Majesty is wise." Upon hearing this, all of the officials bowed to Lu Hong in unison. It wasn't that there weren't any civil and military officials loyal to the Han, and it was understandable that they didn't want Yi Chun to command all the soldiers of the realm. As for the others, they all had their own agendas, and none of them were willing to hand over their military authority and submit to Yi Chun. Even if the Prince Yu of Han, Yi Chun, was extremely skilled in battle and had won every battle, they still wouldn't agree. But the civil and military officials had never imagined that Lu Hong's sudden decision was only a test. If the civil and military officials of the court agreed, Lu Hong would definitely find all sorts of reasons to remove those officials from their positions and execute them. Lu Hong didn't want to see the civil and military officials side with Yi Chun. It had to be said that Lu Hong was muddle-headed and extremely greedy, but he still had a few tricks up his sleeve. Of course, the fact that the civil and military officials of the court had been duped also had to do with Lu Hong's muddle-headed personality. Otherwise, Lu Hong's test would have been seen through by the civil and military officials of the court, and they would have been even more loyal than to Lu Hong's decision. Zhang Rang, who was standing next to Lu Hong, hurriedly bowed to Lu Hong. "Yes, your Majesty." After saying this, Zhang Rang hurriedly left the hall. Not long after, a world announcement rang out. Ding! In the Great Han Empire, you of Beach, Yi Chun, have made illustrious contributions to the country and are the cornerstone of the Great Han Empire. Emperor Lu Hong of the Great Han Empire has bestowed the title of War God upon you of Beach, Yi Chun. The world announcement rang out 3 times in a row, causing the entire world channel to explode. Holy shit! Isn't Lu Hong being too stingy? He's only bestowing the title of War God upon Yi Yu of Gojoseon? Yeah, damn. Yi Yu of Gojoseon destroyed 4 countries in a row, and now he's attacking the Empire of Southeast Asia. No matter what, Lu Hong should give Yi Yu of Gojoseon the title of Great General. What kind of reward is this? I feel that Lu Hong is probably worried that he won't be able to reward Yi Yu of Gojoseon in the future. That's possible, but I still feel that Lu Hong isn't the typical stingy type. The world channel was abuzz. Yi Chun glanced at it, then looked at the Great Han War God title that had suddenly appeared on his status panel. Great Han War God. Special title. Only one can appear in each country. Can be upgraded through the destruction of a country. Basic characteristics. Owner's attack power and defense power are doubled. The overall combat power of the army is doubled. Looking at the description of the Great Han War God, Yi Chen's originally calm eyes suddenly widened. Holy shit. This title, it's practically cheating. Chapter 1090. It was no wonder that Yi Chen thought this way. It had to be known that the title of War God of the Han could not only increase the strength of Yi Chen and Yi Chen's subordinates, but could also allow them to increase their strength. What did this mean? It was very simple. The increase in strength of Yi Chen and Yi Chen's subordinates was only the beginning. As long as the title of War God of the Han could continue to increase, then the strength of Yi Chen and Yi Chen's subordinates would continue to increase. 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, or even 100 times. As for what the limit was, Yi Chen did not know. This was because the title of War God of the Han had never appeared even in Yi Chen's previous life. However, this was not important. The important thing was that the title of War God of the Han could not only increase the strength of Yi Chen and Yi Chen's subordinates, but could also allow them to continuously increase their strength. This way, the strength of Yi Chen and Yi Chen's subordinates would continuously increase. If they increased their strength enough, then no matter if it was Yi Chen or Yi Chen's subordinates, they would be able to explode with strength that only cultivators of a higher realm could possess. Even if they did not increase their strength, Yi Chen's subordinates would still be able to become the strongest existence in the same realm with the help of the title of War God of the Han. This was the reason why Yi Chen thought that the title of War God of the Han was a cheat. Who would have thought that Lu Hong would be able to give such an amazing title? Wait a minute, War God of the Han? The Han? Holy shit. If the Great Han was destroyed, would the title of War God of the Han disappear with it? Otherwise, why would there be the 2 words Great Han in front of War God? Thinking about this, Yi Chen's face froze. However, he quickly regained his composure. That should not be the case. If it disappeared, then the description of the title of War God of the Han would definitely state it. Since there was no special indication, the title of Great Han War God wouldn't disappear with the fall of the Great Han Empire. Damn, thank goodness. Otherwise, I would have been happy for nothing. At the thought of this, Yi Chen let out a long sigh and then looked straight at Givet Megalopolis at the border of the southeast continent. The news that the Great Han Empire didn't kill prisoners of war was actually known by these bastards from the Empire of Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, the Great Han Empire is the Great Han Empire, and I am myself. If you want to rely on surrendering to save your life, you are dreaming, Yi Chen sneered. He turned to Guojia, Pang Tong, Jia Su, Tian Feng, and Chen Kun, who were studying the map. Observe the battlefield carefully. If there are any abnormalities, report to me immediately. The Empire of Southeast Asia was formed by the union of many small countries. There were all kinds of strange customs and abilities. Although they weren't very powerful, most of them were very strange. Yi Chen could use his divine sense to cover the entire Empire of Southeast Asia and monitor the movements of the Empire of Southeast Asia in real time. However, he couldn't directly detect all abnormalities. For example, Yi Chen had used his divine sense to investigate the Sangurian hidden in the secret realm at the bottom of Mount Fu many times, but he hadn't found anything unusual. If it weren't for Guo Jia's reminder, Yi Chen would have thought that everything was normal. This was the reason why Yi Chen ordered Guo Jia, Pang Tong, Jia Su, Tian Feng, and Chen Kun to observe the battlefield closely. Yi Chen didn't want any accidents to happen and the soldiers of the reincarnation Immortal City to be in mortal danger. Hearing Yi Chen's words, Guo Jia, Pang Tong, Tian Feng, Jia Su, and Chen Kun's faces turned solemn. They bowed at Yi Chen and said loudly, "Yes, my lord." Yi Chen nodded and looked at the secret realm at the bottom of Mount Fuzzhausen, where Sangurian was hiding. There should be the insect tribe in this secret realm. When Sangarian appeared in this secret realm, Yi-chun sensed an extremely evil aura. If that was the case, Yi-chun would definitely enter the secret realm without any hesitation. However, the problem was that there was an extremely special aura hidden in this extremely evil aura. That aura was dark, greedy, bloodthirsty, and crazy. If it was anyone else, they would definitely treat this as negative energy. However, in the real world, Yi-chun had killed the puppet insect queen, and a one-star battle general of the outer world insect race, the blade armed devil mantis. Because of this, he had obtained a huge amount of innate merit and a dragon egg. This was because Yi-chun knew very well that the special aura came from the insect tribe. Yi-chun did not enter the secret realm directly after returning from the netherworld realm. Instead, he chose to observe and think. This was because Yi-chun was not sure if the insect tribe in the secret realm had anything to do with Sangarian. If it did not, and the insect tribe was only hiding in this secret realm, then it would be fine. If it did, then the insect tribe in the secret realm would definitely know that Sangarian had left the secret realm and died. In that case, they would definitely set a trap for Yi-chun because of this and wait for him to jump into it. Knowing that there was a trap, but still jumping into it, other than a fool or someone who had no choice, no one would do such a thing. Yi-chun was no exception. This did not mean that Yi-chun was afraid of the insect tribe. After all, Yi-chun was not even afraid of Hong-jun and the Heaven Dao of the Eldritch world. How could he be afraid of the insect tribe? However, even if he was not afraid, he still had to be cautious. After all, the insect tribe was a special race and was very powerful. If Yi-chun treated the insect tribe like normal players, then the one who would suffer in the end would most likely be Yi-chun and not the insect tribe. In my previous life, until my rebirth, the insect tribe had never appeared in the game world or in the real world after my rebirth. They appeared in the real world. Now, they also appeared in the newbie area in the game world. In other words, the insect tribe had the same privilege as players and could enter the game world. However, their entry was considered illegal. Otherwise, they would appear in the game world directly and not hide in the secret realm. Wait a minute. For the insect race to appear in the game world's novice region's secret realm, could it be related to the fact that I killed the puppet insect queen in the real world's dragon palace, as well as the puppet insect queen and that one-star general blade armed devil puppet? If that's the case, then wouldn't this damn karma be counted on me? Thinking of this, Yi-chun frowned. At this moment, a player who was picking up equipment saw the entrance to the secret realm. After being stunned for a moment, he jumped in without hesitation. The secret realm represented all possibilities. It was fine if the players did not discover it, but once they discovered it, no one would want to miss it. Of course, this was also because Yi-chun did not enter the secret realm and did not stop the players from entering the secret realm. Otherwise, this player would not have dared to rush in so boldly. The moment this player jumped into the secret realm, a world announcement sounded. Ding! Special storyline quest, Insect Tribe Invasion, officially activated. All players will automatically join. Ding! Within 1 hour, kill all the insect tribe that sneaked in. If you succeed, you will receive a generous reward. If you fail, all players will lose 10 levels, and the insect tribe will officially become players. Chapter 1091. Ding! The location of the Zerg race is located at the bottom of Mount Fuzzhausen. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, and the entire world channel exploded. F***CK. F***CK. Zerg invasion? Zerg race? What the hell is this? Who the F***CK knows? Anyway, I feel that this mission is not simple at all. Who knows, I might be able to reap a great reward. Nonsense. Didn't you hear the words special storyline and generous reward? F***CK. If we participate in this mission, it would be weird if the reward is not high. F***CK, stop wasting time. Can anyone tell me where Mount Fuzzhausen is? I want to know too. The world announcement only mentioned Mount Fuzzhausen. Where is Mount Fuzzhausen? Are you guys stupid? Have you forgotten that Yu of Gojoseon killed Sangarian? What does Yu of Gojoseon killing Sangarian have to do with Mount Fuzzhausen? F***CK. Mount Fuzzhausen was created by Sangarian's power in Indo-European mythology. Do you think Mount Fuzzhausen has anything to do with Sangarian? I know. Mount Fuzzhausen is near the borders of the Empire of Southeast Asia. Nonsense. Yu of Gojoseon killed Sangarian there. How can Mount Fuzzhausen not be there? Wait. F***CK. We seem to have forgotten something. What is it? Yu of Gojoseon and Yu of Gojoseon's army are at Mount Fuzzhausen, right? Yu of Gojoseon's army has already set off. However, Yu of Gojoseon's reincarnation fairy island is still there. So be it. Is there anyone who wants to go there together? Hurry up and sign up. This opportunity will not come again. Sign up my ass. I still want to live for a few more years. Ahem. I'll just continue killing the Polar Bear Empire's players. Yeah, I'll continue to kill the Japanese from the East Continent. To tell you the truth, the girls from the East Continent have all submitted to us and asked us not to kill them. They're even willing to give their bodies to us, but I didn't agree. The World Channel was in an uproar as it kept flooding the screen. When Yichin saw it, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. You're quite tactful. You saved me a lot of trouble. But then again, the appearance of the Zergs in the game world was probably because of me. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a world announcement, and there wouldn't be such a special storyline quest. Yichun could not be blamed for thinking this way. After all, Yichun had previously killed the puppet bug queen that had wreaked havoc all over the world in his previous life in the real world. He knew the source of the puppet bug outbreak, and also knew about the existence of the bug tribe. This was the beginning. After that, Yichun killed the insect race's one-star general, the blade-armed devil puppet, allowing the insect race to know of Yichun's existence. This was the intensification. But now, the insect race that shouldn't have appeared in the game world had appeared. This was the result. As for how the insect race sensed Yichun's identity as a player and how they sensed the Untainted World game, Yichun didn't know. After all, the insect race had never been discovered in Yichun's previous life. Even the reborn, Yichun only had a preliminary understanding of it. However, this was not important. What was important was that if Yichun didn't change the historical trajectory related to the insect race in his previous life, the insect race would definitely be like Yichun's previous life. They would only wreak havoc on Earth and wouldn't enter the Untainted World game. It was also because of this that Yichun attributed the insect race's entry into the Untainted World game to himself. This was also the truth. No matter what, this special storyline quest, Invasion of the Insect Race, had to be completed 100% without any mistakes. Otherwise, after the whole country ascended to the Untainted World, both the Samsara Empire and himself would be affected at first glance. It was hard to understand why the special storyline quest, Invasion of the Insect Race, would affect Yichun's great undertaking after the whole country ascended to the Untainted World. This was the truth. If Yichun didn't participate in the invasion of the insect race, or if he participated in the quest but failed, the insect race would officially gain the identity of a player. This way, a portion of the destruction and killings caused by the outer world insectoids in the game world will be placed on Yichun's head. After that, Yichun would be haunted by the boundless karma of killing. Although Yichun had the hellfire of the Red Lotus and could ignore the karma, it would turn Yichun into a human-shaped furnace. This was because the hellfire of the Red Lotus would automatically burn the karma that gathered on Yichun. After that, Yichun would become a human-shaped furnace that burned with the hellfire of the Red Lotus. Unless Yichun didn't use the hellfire of the Red Lotus to burn the karma that gathered on him, Yichun would definitely become a human-shaped furnace that burned wherever he went. In this way, it was impossible for Yichun to not attract the attention of the powerful people in the Untainted World. After that, Yichun would definitely be attacked and captured by the powerful people in the Untainted World. Then, they would interrogate him about the method of refining the hellfire of the Red Lotus. At first glance, it seemed a bit ridiculous. It was just the hellfire of the Red Lotus, not a Khanate spiritual treasure, Khanate ultimate treasure, or chaos ultimate treasure. Why would the powerful people in the untainted world value it so much? The answer was yes. The powerful people in the untainted world really valued it. It couldn't be helped. The hellfire of the Red Lotus was one of the 10 most powerful flames in the untainted world. Even the powerful people in the untainted world had at most seen it. As for refining it, what a joke. To date, no one in the untainted world had been able to refine the hellfire of the Red Lotus. Was there anyone who wanted to refine the hellfire of the Red Lotus? How could there be no one? One had to know that the hellfire of the Red Lotus used karma as fuel to burn everything. As long as one refined the hellfire of the Red Lotus, just the fact that one would no longer have to fear the karma was enough to make the powerful people in the untainted world go crazy, not to mention using the hellfire of the Red Lotus to attack others. One had to know that the karma was an eternal theme without attaining Tao and becoming a sage. One had to bear the karma of killing and robbing. No matter what one did, as long as one was evil, one had to bear the karma. It could be said that any powerful person who had not attained Tao and become a sage would be restrained by the karma. They would not easily let the karma entangle them. Otherwise, they would have to bear the various threats brought by the karma. At best, they would have endless trouble and delay their cultivation. At worst, they would die. This was not a joke. It was the truth. Otherwise, as long as the powerful people participated in the battles in the untainted world, they would usually be wiped out. Why was this so? It was because they did not want to be entangled by the karma. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the person who refined the hellfire of the Red Lotus did not appear. Once he appeared, he would definitely attract the attention of all the powerful people. After that, the person who refined the hellfire of the Red Lotus would definitely be captured by the powerful people and interrogated about the method of refining the hellfire of the Red Lotus. This was the reason why Yi Chun had to complete the special plot mission, Invasion of the Zergs. He had to prevent the Zergs from becoming players. Yi Chun did not want to be captured and interrogated like a lab rat. Chapter 1092. Yi Chun looked at Guo Jia, Jia Su, Pang Tong, Tian Feng, and Chun Kun and said, "Pay attention to the battlefield. All of you, observe the battlefield carefully. After Givet City is taken down, the army will stay put and wait for orders. Everything will wait for my return." "Yes, my lord." Guo Jia, Jia Su, Pang Tong, Tian Feng, and Chun Kun were taken aback. They quickly bowed and saluted. Guo Jia, Jia Su, Pang Tong, Tian Feng, and Chun Kun didn't know why their lord, Yi Chun, wanted to leave after returning from the netherworld. However, this didn't stop them from obeying his orders. To them, Yi Chun's orders were everything. As for Yi Chun's actions, they had no right to question him, nor could they question him. Unless Yi Chun personally mentioned it, they only had one thing to do, and that was to follow Yi Chun's orders and execute them perfectly. Hearing Guo Jia, Pang Tong, Jia Su, Tian Feng, and Chun Kun's words, Yi Chun nodded and flew towards the secret realm where Fu Zhoushan was located. In the distance, the players who had cleaned up the battlefield and didn't know whether they should enter the secret realm or not were all stunned when they saw this. Then, they looked at each other and sighed. "I thought that Yi Yu of Gojoseon wasn't interested in this special plot mission and didn't want to enter." "I thought so too. It's a pity that Yi Yu of Gojoseon still wants to participate. You guys are too naive. Look at the brothers in the Polar Bear Empire and East Continent. They are very open-minded. When the world announcement was made, they guessed that Yi Yu of Gojoseon was going to participate and gave up. You guys are thinking too much. F***CK, can't you think too much? It's not against the law. No one is stopping you from thinking. The problem is, why don't you go?" "Scram, I haven't lived long enough. Why would I go?" "Sai, you guys are all wrong. The secret ground here has been here for a long time. At least, I saw it before the world announcement. At that time, I was still wondering why King Yi you didn't enter the secret ground. So it wasn't because he didn't want to enter, but because he was waiting for the mission to be activated. F***CK, is this for real?" I was too focused on picking up equipment and ability manuals that I didn't notice the secret realm. It's true, I saw it too. F***CK. Does this mean that Yu of Gojoseon knew that the special mission Zerg invasion would appear and is waiting for it to be activated? That should be the case. But it has nothing to do with us. Let's just watch. If anyone wants to die, go ahead and try. Let's see if King Yu Yi will continue to be so nice. Mother Kerr, only an idiot would try. I haven't lived long enough. The Eastern players were discussing Yi Chen's sudden actions. But no matter how they discussed, the desire in their eyes continued to grow. It was obvious that the players weren't like what they said. They didn't want to enter the secret realm and participate in the special mission Zerg invasion. They wanted to enter the secret realm and participate in the special storyline mission Zerg invasion, but they didn't dare. No matter how much they wanted to, they didn't dare. They were afraid that Yi Chun, the #1 player and great man and the strongest player in the world, would start a massacre once again. So, they forcefully suppressed the desire in their hearts. Just as Yi Chun arrived at the entrance of the secret realm and was about to enter, a solicitous shout was heard. Yi of Gojoseon, do you need any help? I'm willing to work for Yi of Gojoseon. As soon as this player finished speaking, the Eastern players were all stunned. Then, most of them fell silent. However, the eyes of the remaining players lit up as they shouted at Yi Chun one after another. Yi of Gojoseon, I'm willing to work for you too. No matter what it is, I'll do it immediately. Yi of Gojoseon, all members of the Green Wolf Gang are at your disposal. Yi of Gojoseon, all members of the Heavenly Lake Gang are at your disposal. No matter what it is, as long as you give the order, the Heavenly Lake Gang will do our best. Even if we have to go through fire and water, we won't hesitate. Yi of Gojoseon, although I'm a girl, I'm not afraid of death. No matter what Yi of Gojoseon wants me to do, I'm willing to do it. The players shouted at Yi Chun one after another. Their words were filled with sincerity. When Yi Chun heard this, he glanced at the players and said, There's no need for that. There's no need for that. You guys just need to stay where you are. This mission isn't something you can participate in. Yi Chun could tell what the players were thinking. They wanted to use the excuse of waiting for orders to participate in the special plot mission, Zerg invasion. There was nothing wrong with this idea. After all, the world announcement indicated that all players could participate in the mission. However, Yi Chun didn't want the players to participate. Whether it was selfish or self-serving, Yi Chun wouldn't allow the players to participate. If the players participated, not only would they not help Yi Chun, but they would also increase the power of the Zerg. At first glance, it was hard to understand, but that was the truth. The Zerg had entered the game world. Although they were holed up in the mystic realm and weren't considered players, their power was real. Even the trashiest Zerg wasn't something that the current players could fight against. Therefore, as long as the players entered the mystic realm in large batches, the Zerg wouldn't be affected. Instead, their power would increase greatly. The increase in power of the Zerg was something that Yi Chun didn't want to see, as he had to kill them within an hour. As for why Yi Chun was so amiable and did not immediately kill them, it was not because he did not dare, nor was it because he did not have the heart to do so. Rather, it was because at this moment, Yi Chun had already decided to kill them. To be precise, Yi Chun wanted to see how many players would continue to talk about this, and that after giving them a chance to choose. If the players stopped talking about helping, Yi Chun would pretend that he didn't hear them. If the players continued to talk about helping, Yi Chun would only do one thing, and that was to kill all the players who continued to talk nonsense. It was the players' fault for being impure. He had already told them not to participate, but they insisted on participating. If Yi Chun didn't kill them, who would he kill? This was Yi Chun's intention and Yi Chun's decision. It was cruel and heartless, but this was Yi Chun's way of doing things. He wouldn't change because of anyone, and he wouldn't be merciful because of anyone. As soon as Yi Chun's words fell, the people who had just said that they wanted to help instantly shut up. However, the remaining people all revealed anxious expressions and continued to shout. Yi of Gojoseon, I'm serious. No matter what you want me to do, I'm willing to do it. Even if I die, I don't care. Yes, Yi of Gojoseon, Tell us what you want us to do. No matter what it is, we won't hesitate to do it." When Yi Chun heard this, he glanced at the players who continued to talk and said, "I have something for you to do." "What is it?" The players who wanted to participate in the special plot mission, Zerg Invasion, asked anxiously. "Go to hell," Yi Chun said as he lifted his right hand and clenched his fist in the air. Thunderous roars that shook the heavens and the earth were instantly heard. Boom, 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 boom. Chapter 1093. The moment the thunder roared, tens of thousands of lightning bolts appeared out of thin air and struck the players who had been warned by Yi Chun to continue asking for help. In the next second, an incomparably dense series of explosions rang out. Boom, boom, boom. Without exception, the players who were struck by the lightning exploded into pieces of charred flesh that filled the sky. The sound of people inhaling cold breaths was heard. What followed was the sound of people swallowing their saliva. Gulp, gulp. At that moment, the Eastern players widened their eyes. Their faces were full of worry, fear, and panic. Many of them immediately realized what Yi Chun's attitude was after hearing Yi Chun say that it was not suitable for them to participate. Therefore, they kept quiet, afraid that Yi Chun would be angered and kill them. But in the end, there were still people who were blinded by the generous reward and chose to continue shouting. This was great. Yi Chun, who hadn't made a move against Eastern players in a long time, had made his move once again. Moreover, his method was ridiculously crude. He raised his hand and clenched his fist. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts as thick as an arm descended from the sky and killed tens of thousands of players. If that was all, it would be fine. But the problem was that Yi Chun, who had just killed tens of thousands of players, was still looking at them. What did that mean? Yi Chun, who had activated his killing mode again, was not satisfied with killing. He wanted to kill more people, or even everyone. That was what the players were thinking at the moment, and it was also the source of their sudden and inexplicable panic. Yi Chun glanced at the players who were panicking because of his gaze and said, "I'll say it again. I'll say it again. This mission is not suitable for you." Once Yi Chun said that, the players who were worried and afraid heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they shouted with all their might, "Yi Yu of Gojoseon, don't worry. If you say it's not suitable, then it's not suitable. I'll definitely listen to you. I won't be like those idiots who are blinded by lard and act willfully. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, Sidekick is your loyal fan. I didn't shout anything from the start, so I won't say anything else. Sidekick will help you keep an eye on these people. If anyone dares to approach the entrance of the Mystic Realm, Sidekick will be the first to kill them. Yi Yu of Gojoseon is definitely right. If anyone doesn't believe me, I won't let them off." That's right. Yi Yu of Gojoseon would never lie to anyone, and he has never lied to anyone before. This mission is 100% unsuitable for us. If we go in, we will definitely cause trouble. Not only will we not get any benefits, we might even lose our lives. F***CK, I can swear to God that Yi Yu of Gojoseon did not lie to us. F***CK, do you have to be so loud when you're bootlicking? Otherwise, it will sound fake. F***CK, I'm telling the truth. Yi Yu of Gojoseon did not lie to us. I'm not bootlicking. What's the situation? Tell me, didn't an idiot enter the Mystic Realm before? He lives next door to me. I heard a shrill cry just now and thought that the shifter players had invaded the city, so I went offline. Who would have thought that it wasn't the shifter players who attacked, but the idiot next door? He died, and he bled from all his orifices. It was so tragic. No way. Dying in a game doesn't affect the real world. Except for Yi Yu of Gojoseon. Yi Yu of Gojoseon has this ability. It's true. Why would I lie to you? That guy really died in the game world, and then he died in the real world. F***CK. Doesn't this mean that the Zergs in the Mystic Realm can kill people in the game and in the real world? Of course. Otherwise, why would I say that Yi Yu of Gojoseon did not lie to us? The idiot next door is proof. F***CK. Luckily, Yi Yu of Gojoseon stopped us from going in. Otherwise, stop what? He told us the truth. Due to the death of the first player who had entered the secret land, the players were discussing amongst themselves. After glancing at the players, Yichen looked towards the entrance of the secret land. That player's heart did not show any signs of fluctuation under my divine sense that meant that what he said was true. Who would have thought that the Zergs had the ability to devour souls? Did all the Zergs have this ability, or did a few of them have this ability? No matter what the situation was, the difficulty of dealing with the insect race had indeed increased by a lot. But then again, the player who entered the mystic realm could last for almost a minute before dying. This meant that there were no traps in the mystic realm. If that was the case, thinking of this, Yichun flew directly into the entrance of the mystic realm and disappeared. After Yichun entered the secret dungeon, the players who had been discussing intensely earlier all looked at each other, then stopped their discussion. In the next second, one of the players who had shouted loudly turned to look at the player who had claimed to have entered the secret realm. He was his neighbor and asked, "What's the matter?" He asked, "Yiyu of Gojoseon has entered the mystic realm. Tell me, can those Zergs really kill people in the game world and die in the real world?" F***CK. Do you think I'm lying? Let me tell you it's true. If you don't believe me, come to Triple X City. Our Castellan boss has been alerted. The player who said that he was the first to enter the mystic realm but was killed immediately shouted angrily. His face darkened when he heard this. As soon as he finished speaking, several players around him looked at each other and nodded in unison. In the blink of an eye, they went offline. Chapter 1094. As soon as Yichun entered the Fu Zhoushan secret realm, he saw a dense sea of insects. That's right, it was a sea of insects. It was a sea of gigantic insects with shiny black shells that stretched as far as the eye could see. At this moment, Yichun's brows immediately furrowed. There were at least 10 billion insect tribes in this secret realm. That idiot Sangurian actually did not discover them. He was really stupid, but then again, the number of insect tribes was not to be underestimated. There were no less than 10 billion insect tribes in this secret realm alone. If not for the fact that the secret realm was only so big, there would probably be even more insect tribes smuggled into the untainted world. Fortunately, there were no star generals like the blade-armed devil puppets here. Otherwise, he might not be able to get rid of them within an hour. No matter what, he had to get rid of these bastards within an hour. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to keep a low profile after he ascended to the untainted world. Thinking of this, Yichun's eyes suddenly widened, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. At this moment, dense and strange insect cries rang out in waves. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At the same time, the endless insect tribes raised their heads and looked at Yichun, who had flown into the secret realm. At this moment, an extremely cold and gloomy aura rushed toward him. Sensing this, Yichun smiled coldly. So what if they were all in the god martial arts realm? How could they overturn the heavens? None of them would survive later. Just as Yichun thought of this, a fat, white and fat insect tribe suddenly stood up and stared at Yichun with its two small eyes. Then it shrieked, "This is the human. It's this human who killed the insect queen, the queen, and the blade-armed devil mantis general." When Yichun heard this, he was slightly taken aback. Then he looked directly at the fat insect tribe. Damn it, what did the insect tribes use to transmit information? How could this insect tribe recognize me? Yichun was not surprised that the insectoid race had some information about him. However, the fact that the insectoid race could recognize Yichun at a glance was beyond Yichun's expectations. Otherwise, Yichun wouldn't be so confused. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that Yichun wanted to know how the insect tribe transmitted messages. As for why Yichun wanted to know about this method, it was very simple. In the future, when dealing with the insect race, he could make targeted arrangements to cut off the insect race's communication channel. In this way, Yichun could keep the extraterrestrial insectoids in the dark. They would run around like headless flies, not knowing where Yichun was and what abilities Yichun had. No matter how this meatworm recognized me, I'll have to leave her alone and interrogate her. Otherwise, if I don't know anything about the insect tribe in the future, I'll be at a disadvantage. Just as Yi-chan thought of this, the insectoid race that was staring at Yi-chan flapped their wings in unison. Then, a dense buzzing sound was heard. At this moment, an evil and bloodthirsty aura appeared from every member of the insectoid race and gathered in midair. In the blink of an eye, it formed an extremely tyrannical and oppressive aura that pressed down on Yi-chan. When Yi-chan saw this, he sneered and shouted, "You're just an ant. How dare you compete with the sun and the moon?" As soon as Yi-chan finished speaking, his eyes widened. At this moment, a suffocating, soul-trembling killing intent and a chilling, domineering aura suddenly erupted from Yi-chan's body with a bang. At this moment, the temperature around Yi-chan dropped to -100 degrees. Then, the air around Yi-chan began to twist and twist. In the next second, the pressure released by Yi-chan directly faced the pressure released by the billions of extraterrestrial insects that were comparable to the god martial arts realm. Boom! 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 There was an earth-shaking explosion. Then, circle after circle of yellow and green ripples appeared out of thin air and exploded in midair. At this moment, a fierce wind rose and began to wreak havoc in the secret realm. Thump, thump, thump. Tens of billions of extraterrestrial insect tribe warriors, who were comparable to the god martial realm, retreated a few steps. Yi-chan's clothes fluttered in the wind, and his long black hair fluttered in the wind. Seeing the insectoid race retreating several steps, Yi-chan curled his lips in disdain. "You want to defeat me with your combined aura? Are you naive or stupid?" Yi-chan had been through a lot of killing and had a cold, cruel, and domineering heart. Yi-chan's aura was naturally among the top. Of course, this was only the attribute, not the power. But don't forget that although Yi-chan was at the peak of the crossing calamity stage, Yi-chan's primordial spirit had reached the level of an earthly immortal. The aura released by Yi-chan was not domineering, but it was not something that could be resisted by any Tom, Dick, or Harry. At this moment, there were 10 billion insectoid race warriors in the secret realm, all of whom were at the god martial arts realm. In the outside world, they were an extremely terrifying defense organization, which could completely crush all the players except for Yi-chan. However, when facing Yi-chan, it was impossible for them to compete with Yi-chan in terms of aura. As for the reason, it was very simple. An immortal was an immortal. It was not something that could be resisted by the forces of the mortal world. At first glance, people were a little confused. Yi-chan was just at the crossing calamity stage and had not become an immortal. How could he be an immortal? But this was the fact. Although Yi-chan had not become an immortal, Yi-chan's primordial spirit already had the power of an earthly immortal. Therefore, Yi-chan was not afraid of competing with the forces of the mortal world. Even if there were 10 billion enemies, all of whom were at the god martial arts realm, it was still the same. It's time to act. These dregs must be dealt with as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Yi-chan used his mind. The pure white true fire of the sun, the dark blue true fire of the lunar, and the blood-red red lotus hellfire instantly turned into 3 fireballs and appeared directly in front of Yi-chan. At this moment, dense screams suddenly rang out from the 10 billion insectoid army. Squeak! Squeak! The screams of the insectoids were very strange and sharp. Of course, it was also very unpleasant to hear. The moment they screamed, the 10 billion insectoids opened their mouths and aimed at Yi-chan. Seeing this, Yi-chan smiled coldly. Then, using his mind, the innate cardinal treasure, the 12th rank Black Lotus of Destruction, instantly appeared under Yi-chan's feet. At this moment, a black light shield with a strong aura of destruction appeared directly from the 12 Black Lotus leaves, and then directly enveloped Yi-chan. At this moment, dense air-piercing sounds suddenly rang out from the 10 billion insectoid army. Bang, bang, bang. Then he saw colorful light balls and countless solid balls flying out of the mouths of the billions of insectoids. Then, they flew toward Yi-chan in an overwhelming manner. At this moment, the entire arcane realm was dyed into a colorful world. If someone saw this scene, they would definitely sigh softly. How could there be such a wonderful thing in this world. However, what others did not know was that the dazzling light balls that covered the sky only brought destruction. Yichen glanced at the light balls and balls made of unknown materials flying towards him and smiled coldly. If it were someone else, they might have been killed in one wave. Thinking of this, Yichen's eyes suddenly widened, and then he roared, "Die, all of you!" Chapter 1095. As soon as Yichun finished his words, the pure white grand sun primordial fire, the dark blue grand moon primordial fire, and the blood-red red lotus karmic fire instantly vibrated and then rapidly flew toward the insect race army. In the next second, the three fireballs cut straight into the spherical army of light balls that covered the sky and the earth, as well as the spherical army of unknown types of physical balls. At this moment, an extremely violent explosion directly resounded through the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The light balls and the material balls that were hit by the three fireballs exploded one after another, and then the sky was filled with fireworks. Some of them were pure flames, some were dark green poisonous fog, and some were densely packed lightning bolts. In addition to these, there were also sonic booms, icy gases, and other fireworks of various attributes. It could be said that the insect race's attack was very unconventional, but it also had traces of magic attacks. Looking at the various fireworks that were constantly exploding in the sky, Yichen curled his lips in disdain. Flashy but useless. With such an attack method, other than those who didn't understand it at the beginning, once they understood it, they could completely dodge it easily. It seemed that the insect race that had not reached the level of one-star warlord were all trash. Yichen had previously killed a one-star warlord of the insect race, the Blade Arm Demon Puppet. At that time, Yichun had personally seen how the Blade Arm Demon Puppet tore through space, and also sensed the fact that the two severed sickles of the Blade Arm Demon Puppet were completely equivalent to immortal-level materials. It was also because of this discovery that Yi Chun became cautious about the insect race. After all, if there were one-star warlords, there would be two-star warlords, and there would be three-star warlords or even higher-star warlords. As for whether there were commanders or marshals above them, Yi Chun wasn't sure. However, this was not important. What was important was that the combat power of the insect race was definitely not weak. And now, Yichen had confirmed one thing about the billions of insect race that had not reached the level of star-level warlords. That was, if the insect race did not enter the star level, in terms of individual strength, they were all trash. If that was the case, the reason why the insectoids were so strong must have something to do with their human wave tactic. Yichen hadn't come into contact with the bug race before, but that didn't stop him from judging them to be strong. This could be easily seen from the fact that the Primordial World game had launched a special storyline mission due to the smuggling of the Zergs. If the Zergs were not strong, the Primordial World game system would not have specially activated a special storyline mission. It was precisely because of this, as well as the fact that the Zergs were trash individually, that Yi Chun linked the strength of the Zergs to the human wave tactic. Looking at it this way, the Zerg race from beyond the heavens was an excellent training target. Although it was a little dangerous, it was indeed easier to speed up the training process. After all, the numbers could be said to be vast. Moreover, killing them would give him innate merit. Thinking of this, Yichen could not help but raise his eyebrows. I wonder if I can get a golden body of merit to play with after killing the Zerg race army here. Just as Yichen thought of this, he cut through the Grand Sun Primordial Fire, Grand Moon Primordial Fire, and Red Lotus Hellfire all the way to the sky above the Zerg race army. At the same time, the Zerg race's attack also arrived in front of Yichen. In the next second, an overwhelming number of light balls and solid balls made of unknown materials smashed directly at Yichen. Boom, boom, boom. Incomparably intense explosions instantly resounded. Then, the outer world insect race's magical technique enveloped Yichen. At the same time, the pure white Grand Sun Primordial Fire, the blue Grand Moon Primordial Fire, and the blood-red Red Lotus Hellfire fell straight to the ground and exploded in the Zerg race army. Boom, boom, boom. After 3 earth-shaking explosions, the pure white grand sun primordial fire, the blue grand moon primordial fire, and the blood-red red lotus hellfire exploded directly and turned into a sea of fire. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Without exception, the Zerg race who were directly enveloped by the 3 types of flames all let out shrill screams. Then, their bodies with pitch-black shells directly turned into nothingness. At this moment, the Grand Sun primordial fire, the Grand Moon primordial fire, and the Red Lotus hellfire, which are the top 10 most powerful flames in the untainted land, began to show their inhumane, destructive power to the Zerg race. Among the 3 most powerful flames, the most explosive one was not the Grand Sun primordial fire or the Grand Moon primordial fire, but the Red Lotus hellfire. The blood-red lotus flower bloomed in the secret land in the blink of an eye. Then, the blood-red lotus flower rapidly grew bigger and bigger. The Zerg race belonged to the evil category. Every Zerg race member had an enormous amount of karma, and karma was the fuel of the Red Lotus hellfire. Therefore, the Red Lotus hellfire burned more and more fiercely. In just a few breaths' time, the huge blood-red lotus flower had already covered a radius of 100 miles. At this moment, the Grand Sun primordial fire and the Grand Moon primordial fire, which were also one of the top 10 most powerful flames in the untainted land, seemed a little dim. Of course, this was only the appearance. In terms of power, the Grand Sun primordial fire and the Grand Moon primordial fire were not weaker than the Red Lotus hellfire. It could only be said that this place was more suitable for the Red Lotus hellfire to show its power. As for Yi Chun releasing the 3 types of flames at the same time, it was also to test. To be more precise, Yi Chun wanted to see how much damage the Grand Sun primordial fire and the Grand Moon primordial fire could do to the Zerg race. After confirming, Yi Chun would naturally use the Red Lotus hellfire when dealing with the Zerg race in the future. If he wanted to kill a single Zerg race, he would use the Red Lotus hellfire according to the situation. The result of the test was just as Yi Chun had expected. The Zerg race with the fire element could resist the Grand Sun primordial fire for a blink of an eye longer than the others. However, when faced with the Grand Moon primordial fire, the Zerg race with the fire element collapsed directly and turned into ice powder, then disappeared into nothingness. The Zerg race with the water element could resist the Grand Sun primordial fire for a blink of an eye less than the Grand Moon primordial fire. As for the Zerg race with the other elements, both the Grand Sun primordial fire and the Grand Moon primordial fire could kill them directly without any resistance. Boom, boom, boom. The flames were burning mercilessly, and the Zerg race was still howling miserably. Yi Chun, who was covered by countless alternative spells, was getting brighter and brighter. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for killing the Zerg race. Special reward to player Yi Chun. Innate merit points x 10,000. Chapter 1096. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for killing an alien Zerg. Special reward to player Yi Chun. Innate merit points x 10,000. The notifications from the system were so dense that Yi Chun was elated to hear them. Damn it! 1 Zerg is worth 10,000 innate merit points. There are tens of billions of alien Zergs here. I've struck it rich this time. Wait a minute. I know that killing an alien Zerg can give me innate merit points, but that's only if I kill them. If I kill them in the game, even if I can get innate merit points, I shouldn't be able to get so much. After all, they haven't really died, damn it. These bastards must have smuggled their physical bodies into the game world. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to get so much innate merit points. Just as Yi Chun thought of this, the layers of alien Zerg's alternative attack that enveloped Yi Chun were quickly annihilated, revealing Yi Chun, who was covered by a pitch-black light shield. At this moment, the alien Zergs, who were frantically trying to escape, were all stunned. They were afraid that they would be engulfed by the ever-expanding demonic blood lotus and be burned into nothingness. In the next second, screams filled with disbelief rang out one after another. Squeak, squeak, squeak. In the eyes of the alien Zergs, it was impossible for Yi-Chun to survive their combined attack. One had to know that this was an attack from tens of billions of alien Zergs. Yi-Chun wasn't even at the level of a one-star general. How could he possibly withstand such an attack? But the cruel reality told them one thing. They were overthinking. Not only did Yi-Chun withstand the attack, but he was also unharmed. Otherwise, why would the black light shield that enveloped Yi-Chun not be destroyed? Just as the alien Zergs were in disbelief, the black light shield that enveloped Yi-Chun suddenly turned into 12 pitch-black lotus leaves and bloomed instantly. In the next second, Yi-Chun, who was standing in the middle of the black lotus, appeared in the line of sight of the insectoids. The moment Yi-Chun appeared, the flesh worm recognized him from the very beginning. Its two small eyes suddenly shrank, and then it screamed, "Brother Yi-Chun!" The black lotus under his feet is at least a star state. When Yi-Chun heard this, he was slightly taken aback. Then, he turned to look at the shrieking giant worm. The star level mentioned by the meat worm should be the classification of weapons by the insect race. However, didn't the insect race use their bodies as weapons? Why were they still using weapons? The one-star general that Yi-Chun had previously killed, the blade-armed devil puppet, had a pair of sickle forelegs that were comparable to an immortal tool. In the instant that it appeared, it had used its sickle forelegs to attack Yi-Chun. It was precisely because of this that Yi-Chun believed that the insect race used their bodies as weapons. They didn't need to use other weapons at all. After all, the texture of their bodies was very special. Not only were they not inferior to weapons, they were also very agile. Who would have thought that the flesh worm of the insect race who had stowed away in the game world would say the word weapon? What did this mean? It was very simple. The insect race also had weapons. F*CK. Could the insect race transform like the monster race? Or could it be that their soul power was so strong that the weapons they used could be controlled by their consciousness or mental strength? If they could transform, then they would be in the god martial realm. Why were they still in the body of an insect? If they used their consciousness or mental strength to control their weapons, then how come none of the billions of insect race members had weapons? If they couldn't transform, then how did the insect race refine their weapons? At this thought, Yi-Chun couldn't help but frown. F*CK. The insect race was really weird. If he could find their nest, he would really have to go and take a look. There were really many good things there. Even if there were few, it didn't matter. At least, the shells of the insect race were all excellent refining materials. Thinking of this, Yi-Chun couldn't help raising his eyebrows. Then he looked straight at the flesh worm of the 12th grade Black Lotus of Destruction, who was staring at Yi-Chun in shock. He shouted, "Bastard, come here!" After saying that, Yi-Chun raised his right hand and made a grasping motion in the air. At this moment, a gigantic palm appeared out of thin air and grabbed the flesh worm that had just spoken. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The flesh worm suddenly let out a sharp shriek. Then its huge body was directly grabbed by the huge palm and flew rapidly toward Yi-Chun. In just a few minutes, more than 1 billion insect race members had been burned to death. Seeing this, they suddenly raised their grotesquely shaped heads and let out intense shrieks. Squeak, squeak, squeak. As far as the eye could see, the eyes of the insect race members that had not yet been burned by the Red Lotus Hellfire had turned scarlet. At the same time, a crazy aura rose from the bodies of the insect race members that had not yet been burned to death. Obviously, Yi-Chun's action of directly grabbing the flesh worm had stimulated all the insect race members. Otherwise, they would not be in such a state. It was even more impossible that they did not even try to avoid the rapidly expanding blood lotus. Yi-Chun, who had been observing the bug tribe from beyond the heavens, opened his eyes wide when he saw this. This flesh worm seemed to have a special identity. This is great. I can learn more about the insect race from the outer space. As soon as Yi-Chun thought of this, more than 8 billion extraterrestrial insects, whose eyes had turned scarlet, bent their insect claws together and then jumped up with a bang sound. In the next second, the wings of the insect race from the outer world spread out. Then, they spread their wings and flew towards Yichun. At this moment, the crazy aura of the insect race became more intense. When Yichun saw this, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. Then he directly flew towards the blood-red, demonic blood lotus with the flesh worm in his hand. Don't fly in. You will die. You'll die. Seeing Yichun's actions, the huge flesh worm's tiny eyes shrank as it shrieked. Hearing this, Yichun curled his lips disdainfully. Roar flew directly into the blood lotus with a flesh worm. At this moment, an extremely sharp scream suddenly rang out. Ah! The scream lasted for a second and then stopped abruptly. Are you okay? The flesh worm stared blankly at its intact body and was stunned. The blood-red blood lotus was formed after the red lotus hellfire unleashed its power. However, Yichun had already refined the red lotus hellfire. If Yichun did not want the red lotus hellfire to burn anyone, the red lotus hellfire would not burn anyone. This flesh worm's status in the insect race was obviously not low. If Yichun casually killed this flesh worm, how would he be able to get information about the insect race? He clearly had the opportunity to obtain information related to the insect race, but he gave it up. Yichun would definitely not do such a thing. Chapter 1097. The flesh worm had a length of 10 meters and a diameter of 6 meters. As soon as it finished speaking, the swarm of Zergs instantly gave up on their plan of bypassing the red lotus fire. Instead, they changed their direction and flew straight towards the gigantic, blood-red, demonic lotus fire. When Yichun saw this, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. If I'm not mistaken, this F*King meat worm's identity in the insect tribe is definitely not simple. Otherwise, the Zergs who were afraid of the red lotus fire would not have flown into the red lotus fire, even though they knew that they would die. Just as Yichun thought of this, more than 8 billion Zergs flew into the gigantic, blood-red, demonic lotus fire, which had expanded to a radius of 300 miles, and then turned into nothingness in the midst of the blood-red smoke. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for killing the Zergs. Special reward to player Yichun. Innate merit points x 10,000. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for killing the Zergs. Special reward to player Yichun. Innate merit points x 10,000. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for killing the Zergs. Special reward to player Yichun. Innate merit points x 10,000. In an instant, the speed of the system's notifications increased by more than 1,000 times, and it was still increasing. Yichun felt a headache coming on. Damn it, the system's notifications sounded like, I can't turn them off, F***CK. Even though I like this sound a lot, the continuous sound is just like a F***king bombardment of noises. Forget it, if I can't turn them off, then so be it. Anyway, I made the right bet this time. Not only can I accumulate a terrifying amount of experience points, but I can also gain valuable innate merit points, and a huge amount of them. Thinking of this, Yichun could not help but smile. Then, he looked directly at the gigantic flesh worm in the blood-red, demonic lotus fire and asked, Where's the Zergs? Where's the stronghold of the insect race? How did you sneak into this world? The giant flesh worm, who was still in a daze because it was not burned to death by the red lotus hellfire, immediately regained its senses and looked straight at Yichun. Human, if you want to know the secret of the insect tribe, let me go now. Let you go. Yichun looked at the meat worm and curled his lips in disdain. Bastard, there are only 2 paths in front of you. If you speak, you can die a quick death. If you don't, you will die an ugly and miserable death. Ew, what do you mean? I'm going to die whether I tell you or not. When the giant meat worm heard Yichun's words, it was stunned. It opened its 2 jaws and roared angrily. When Yichun heard this, he nodded seriously and said, That's right. If you speak, you'll die. If you don't, you'll also die. It's just that the way you die is different. There were tens of billions of insect tribe members hidden at the bottom of Mount Fuzzhausen. Yichun could not let any of them go. Otherwise, the special plot mission Insect Invasion would fail. In that case, not only would Yi-Chun lose 10 levels, but the insect tribe would also officially gain the status of a player. After that, all the bad karma caused by the insect tribe would be blamed on Yi-Chun. Once this happened, Yi-Chun would become a human furnace. When that happened, Yi-Chun's plan to dominate the world and rise to power would be seriously affected. Therefore, Yi-Chun could not let the flesh worm live. Even if Yi-Chun wanted to know more about the insect tribe, he would not let it live. As soon as Yi-Chun finished speaking, the giant meat worm's tiny eyes narrowed. It screamed, "Human, you're so shameless. You're going to kill me even if I don't speak. You're even more shameless than us insect tribe members." When Yi-Chun heard this, he clenched his right hand and shouted coldly, "F***, I was being nice to you. You're still so cocky." Ah. The giant meat worm screamed miserably at Yi-Chun's action. Let go. Let go. You're going to crush me." When Yi-Chun heard this, he curled his lips in disdain and shouted, "Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me or not?" When the giant meat worm heard this, it turned its fat head and shouted stubbornly, "If you ask me, it's impossible." When Yi-Chun heard this, he looked at the giant and fat worm. Then, with a thought, a small blood-red flame appeared and flew directly to the worm's tail. With a sizzling sound, the flesh worm's tail was instantly incinerated by the blood-red karmic fire of the red lotus. At this moment, dark green juice began to splatter everywhere. The meat worm's body stiffened, and then it screamed miserably. Ah! Before the flesh worm's wail could even land, another blood-red flame suddenly appeared and flew onto the flesh worm's huge body. With a sizzling sound, another piece of flesh was burned away by the red lotus hellfire. Ah! An even more mournful howl rang out. Then, the fat body of the meat worm began to violently shake up and down. It stiffened, bent, and began to tremble. However, no matter how hard the worm tried, it could not break free from Yi-Chun's giant palm. Yi-Chun curled his lips in disdain as he looked at the flesh worm's pained expression. He then asked, "Are you going to talk or not? If you're not going to talk, then let's continue." When the fat worm heard this, its huge body trembled violently. Human, if you want to know the secret of the insect tribe, wait another 10,000 years. When the worm's tough words fell, Yi-Chun's face darkened. Son of a bitch, it's getting tough. Thinking of this, Yi-Chun raised his left hand and drew a line in the air. Wong. A spatial blade appeared out of thin air. Then, it sliced straight toward Meaty's enormous body. The unyielding flesh worm's eyes narrowed upon seeing this. Then it shrieked, "Don't! Space ability. The intelligence was right. You really do have space ability." As soon as the worm's words fell, the space blade cut through its tail. With a loud crack, the worm's tail was cut off. In that instant, a large amount of dark green liquid gushed out of the flesh worm's body as if it was free. A mournful howl followed. Then, the flesh worm's fat body began to tremble violently. At this time, Yi-Chun looked at the flesh worm with a gloomy face. Then, with a thought, his enormous consciousness instantly enveloped the fat flesh worm. Just then, an imperceptible but tenacious wave of soul energy that was similar to the lightning element collided with Yi-Chun's divine sense shield. Yi-Chun was stunned for a moment. Then his eyes widened. Son of a bitch, this must be the insect tribe's way of transmitting information. If it wasn't for the fact that my primordial spirit had been tempered by the primordial purple vapor and was comparable to an earth immortal, I wouldn't have noticed it. Lightning element, soul energy, brainwaves, biowaves, or something else. No matter what it is, at least this is the insect tribe's way of transmitting information. The one-star general, the saber-armed demonic puppet, who wanted to descend to Earth but was killed by me halfway through its descent, must have used this method to transmit my information before it died. It's good that there's a way to detect it and block it. Otherwise, the insect tribe is really hard to deal with. As soon as Yi-Chun thought of this, the fat worm's eyes suddenly shrank. Then it shrieked, "Brother Yi! How is this possible? We have studied that Sangurian. His divine sense couldn't detect the method we use to transmit messages. How could you detect it and even block it?" Chapter 1098. Yi Chun sneered after hearing the meatworm's words. Then he said, "There are a lot of things you don't know. Now, I'll give you one last chance. Tell me, and I'll give you a quick death. If you don't, you'll die a miserable and painful death. Aren't you afraid that the star-level warlords of our bug race will descend upon this world and exterminate your race?" The flesh worm's body trembled violently when she heard Yi Chen's words, and she hurriedly asked. Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain after hearing the meat worm's threatening words. Then he said, "You're just an ant. What's there to be afraid of?" The meat worm fell silent after hearing this. A few seconds later, the flesh worm glanced at the insectoid army that was still flying into the flames like moths flying into a flame. Then, she looked at Yi Chun and said, "That's right. After I tell you, can you let me go, or let me follow you?" Yi Chun looked at the flesh worm and said, "Let you go? That's impossible. As for following you, at some other time, maybe I could. But now I can't. You and all the bugs here are going to die." As soon as Yi Chun's words fell, the meat worm's face suddenly became ferocious. "You're so unreasonable. You're the one who wants to ask me something, but not only do you not let me go, you don't let me follow you, and you even want to kill me. If it were you, what would you do? How should I choose?" Hearing those words, Yi Chun sneered, then said, "First of all, I won't encounter such a thing. Even if I do, I will make a final counterattack, even if I have to die. Then why are you treating me like this? Aren't you afraid that I won't answer you even if I die, and you'll miss this opportunity?" The meat worm was stunned after hearing Yi Chen's words. Then she asked. When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the flesh worm and said, "If you lose the opportunity, then so be it, but you will definitely die. As for how you die, it's up to you." After hearing Yi Chen's words, the flesh worm fell silent for a moment. Then, she looked up at Yi Chen and said, "Yes. Human, I admit that you are strong. You are stronger than what is recorded in the information we have. But you shouldn't treat me like this. Do you know who I am? I am a royal member of the insect tribe. If you kill me, you will become a mortal enemy of the insect tribe. At that time, no matter which world you are in or how difficult it is to enter this world, the insect tribe will use all means to find you and kill you and your race." "The royal family?" Yi Chun sneered. "You think you're fit to be a member of the royal family? If you were a member of the royal family, the insect race would have been wiped out long ago." Speaking to this point, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly widened and he shouted, "Since you're still not going to tell me, then you can die a quick and painless death?" If the flesh worm claimed that she was a member of the royal family, others might have believed her. After all, more than 8 billion insect tribe members were willing to risk their lives for the sake of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. Anyone would think that the flesh worm was a member of the royal family of the insect tribe. However, Yi Chen did not think so. This was because the flesh worm was afraid of pain and death. In the end, she even threatened Yi Chen. When she sensed that Yi Chen was using his spatial ability, she directly sent him a message. Adding all of these together, it was enough to prove that the meat worm was something like a scout. Of course, the flesh worm's status as a scout was different from human scouts. It had a higher status. Of course, no matter how high its status was, it was not as high as a member of the royal family. One had to know that non-human royal family members had a pride that was ingrained in their bones, not to mention their strength. It was not something that ordinary people could learn. This was not difficult to see when Yi Chen subdued the Black Emperor, a member of the Stellar Sword Dragon tribe's royal family. One had to know that the Black Emperor was born in the Purple Mansion realm and was born with a natural pride. The flesh worm, on the other hand, was a F** king tramp. No matter how one looked at it, it did not look like a member of the royal family. As for why it could make billions of insect tribe members risk their lives for it, Yi Chen did not think it was a complicated matter. To be more precise, the number of insect tribe members had reached a terrifying level. Among them, those with a higher status had absolute control over those with a lower status. To be more precise, the billions of insect tribe members that had been smuggled into the hidden realm at the bottom of Mount Fujoshan were like a drop in the ocean to the insect tribe. As for the flesh worm, She was either the leader of the alien insectoids who had snuck in this time, or she was one of the billions of alien insectoids who had been ordered to protect her even at the cost of their lives. As for the flesh worm being a member of the insect tribe's royal family, that was nonsense. Yi-chan did not believe it at all. The moment Yi-chan finished speaking, he raised his left hand and pointed at the air. Boom, 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 boom. A bolt of lightning as thick as a thumb appeared out of thin air. In the blink of an eye, it turned into an electric needle that was as thick as a thumb and as long as a chopstick. "What are you trying to do?" the flesh worm shrieked. Its tiny eyes narrowed. When Yi-chan heard this, he curled his lips in disdain. If it was a member of the royal family, the insect tribe would have been wiped out a long time ago. Thinking up to this point, Yi-chan willed the newly formed lightning needle to stab the flesh worm. With a poochy sound, the big lightning needle entered his body. At the same time, a series of crackling sounds could be heard. Bzzzt, bzzzt. Countless tiny electric currents appeared on the flesh worm's body and flowed through it. Arc. Following that, the flesh worm's miserable shrieks were heard. Then, the flesh worm's body began to tremble uncontrollably, and the hair on its body began to stand on end. Boom! The lightning needle pierced through the flesh worm's body. It turned around and repeated the same action. The flesh worm's howl could be heard again. 2 times, 3 times, 10 times. When a lightning needle pierced the flesh worm's body for the 100th time, the flesh worm's tiny eyes were filled with fear. It was only then that the flesh worm understood what Yi-chan meant by living a life worse than death. Based on its remaining life force, it could enjoy the lightning needle's massage for at least 100,000 times. Was the process painful? How could it not be painful? After being pierced by the lightning needle, the electric current stimulated its nerves and multiplied the pain it suffered by more than 10 times. If this was not pain, then what was pain? If it had to choose, the flesh worm would rather die or tell Yi-chan what he wanted to hear. That was what the flesh worm, who had been tortured to the point where it was no longer in the shape of a worm, was thinking. Chapter 1100. Just as Yi-chan was thinking of this, the system notification sounded again. Ding! A reminder to player Yi-chan that the innate golden body of merit is able to seize the fortune of heaven and earth and invade the mysteries of the sun and moon. Therefore, there's only one chance to evolve. Player Yi-chan has 3 seconds to consider. Otherwise, it will be considered as giving up. As soon as the system notification sounded, it was immediately covered by the dense merit points notifications. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-chan for killing the insect tribe. Special reward to player Yi-chan. Innate merit points x 10,000. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-chan for killing the insect tribe. Special reward to player Yi-chan. Innate merit points x 10,000. Damn it, I didn't expect that there would only be one chance to evolve the innate golden body of merit. Thinking of this, Yi-chan made his choice without hesitation. Evolve. As soon as Yi-chan made his decision, the system notification sounded again. Ding! The evolution of the innate golden body of merit has begun. Innate merit points consumed, 50 trillion. As soon as the system notification ended, Yi-chan's body, which was originally normal, suddenly emitted tens of thousands of rays of golden light. In the blink of an eye, he became a golden man with golden light all over his body. At the same time, the sound of the Great Way appeared out of nowhere and resounded throughout the entire secret realm. In an instant, Yi-chan was covered by an extremely mysterious aura. After 3 breaths, golden runes filled with the aura of the Great Way burst out from the void and circled around Yi-chan. Before Yi-chan could carefully sense the changes in his body, a huge 7-colored light will suddenly appear from the void behind Yi-chan. Yi-chan was startled when he sensed this change. What's going on? Isn't the golden wheel of merit golden? Why is mine 7-colored? As soon as Yi-chan thought of this, a golden giant with a merciful aura suddenly appeared in front of the 7-colored light wheel and behind Yi-chan. Then, it rose into the sky with the 7-colored light wheel. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. It didn't stop until the golden giant was 1,000 meters tall. Yi Chun, who had extended his spiritual sense and sensed all these changes, was immediately taken aback. Is this the innate golden body of merit? That's not right. Shouldn't the golden body of merit be used on the body? Just as Yi Chun thought this, the golden giant, which was 1 kilometer tall and gave off a golden light, suddenly opened its eyes. At this moment, countless rainbow-colored heavenly flowers fell from the sky, and many golden lotuses appeared on the ground. At this moment, an invincible yet merciful aura suddenly rose from the golden giant's body, enveloping the entire secret realm in the blink of an eye. In the next second, dense sounds of annihilation instantly resounded throughout the entire secret realm. Pop! 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 Countless golden lights emerged from the bodies of the remaining bug tribe army. In the blink of an eye, they were reduced to ashes and scattered with the wind. At this moment, the system's notifications rang out and then stopped. Looking at the empty secret realm, Yi Chun couldn't help but smack his lips. Then, he used his spiritual sense to look at the golden giant behind him. This should be my innate golden body of merit. Its power is really not to be underestimated. In a breath, nearly 5 trillion bug tribe soldiers were reduced to ashes. This golden giant looks like it. It's me. Well, it should be me. Damn it, if my innate golden body of merit is not me, but someone else, that would be King disgusting. But then again, why can't I see the attributes of this golden giant? All I can see is a series of King question marks. Is the realm too low? Or is this innate golden body of merit uncontrollable? Thinking of this, Yi Chun's mind moved, and the golden giant behind him immediately disappeared into the void. Seeing this, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It can be controlled, and it's easy to do. If that's the case, it should be because of the realm. In any case, with this innate golden body of merit, I'm not only the bane of evil, but also the bane of the bug tribe. Right after I ascend to the primordial world and my realm is more or less there, I'll take a stroll around the blood sea and dry it up. TSK. If I can really do that, I'll King gain an ocean of merit. As for whether the Nether River Patriarch would vomit blood or not, it has nothing to do with me. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but curl his lips. Just then, a world announcement suddenly rang. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for successfully evolving into the innate golden body of merit. Special reward to player Yi Chun. Supreme Grade Spiritual Marrow X 1000000. Innate Attribute Points X 1000000. God City Advancement Token Supreme X1. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, and it instantly blew up the entire world channel. F*CK. F*CK. Are you kidding me? Didn't Yi Chun just enter the arcane realm not long ago? How did he evolve into the innate golden body of merit? The innate golden body of merit is nothing. The most important thing is the reward. Although I don't know what the supreme grade spiritual marrow is, I know about the innate attribute points. 1000000 innate attribute points. What the F*CK? That's insane. You forgot to mention one more thing. There's also the God City Advancement Token, Supreme, X1. F*CK, Yi Chun is cheating. If he's not cheating, how could he get so many benefits in just a few minutes? Damn it, I knew it. Yi Chun didn't let us enter the arcane realm because of this special storyline mission. We'll be able to get some good stuff. See, Yi Chun has only been in for a few minutes, and he's already gotten such a huge reward. If we go in 2, we might not be able to get the same benefits as him, but at least the benefits won't be any smaller. Yi Chun is too selfish. How could he monopolize such a huge benefit and not let us participate? He's taking all the benefits for himself, and he's doing it in an ugly manner. That's right, F*CK. I can't take anymore. I must go in. I don't care if he's Yi Chun, Yu of Gojosian, or the number 1 human. This Zerg invasion is a world mission. I have the right to participate in it too. Nonsense. The world announcement already said that this mission is open to all players. Yi Chun is just using his cultivation to bully others. If we continue to be bullied by Yi Chun, none of us will be able to get anything good. Cut the crap, let's do it. If you're a man, follow me into the arcane realm. We have a share in the Zerg invasion too. Yes, we have a share too. Let's enter the arcane realm together. Idiots, are you trying to stall? Who gave you the courage to slander Yi Yu of Gojoseon? F***CK. Have all of you forgotten how many good things you've picked up by following Yi Yu of Gojoseon? These idiots, I feel like they're saying this on purpose. Their goal is to stir up the emotions of these brainless people so that they can enter the arcane realm according to their plan and cause trouble for Yi Yu of Gojoseon. F***CKU, I'm just stating facts. Why don't you tell me what Yi Chun is doing? Isn't he going too far? Isn't he trying to monopolize all the benefits? F***CK. So what if he's monopolizing all the benefits? Boss Yi Chun has the ability to do so, so what? Now that he heard the world announcement, he can't sit still anymore and want to share the benefits? F***CK. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? What the hell are you? Anyway, I believe in Yi Yu of Gojoseon because Yi Yu of Gojoseon never lies. The world announcement was abuzz with activity. After Yi Chun took a look, his eyes narrowed. These be asterisk stars who are slandering me are either members of the hidden faction or their subordinates. It looks like I've been discovered by the hidden faction when I entered the arcane realm. I could take advantage of this opportunity. Are there still players who want to plot against me through the Zerg invasion? Chapter 1101. Yi Chun's thought was not a wild guess by Yi Chun, but it was based on facts. To be more precise, these people who spoke ill of Yi Chun had all spoken ill of Yi Chun before Yi Chun suppressed all the players to the point that they did not dare to resist. Others might not remember this point, but Yi Chun, who had reached the peak of the crossing calamity stage, could clearly recall it. This was because as long as Yi Chun thought about it, regardless of whether it was the person he had seen or the words he had heard, even if it was just a glance or just a casual listen, he would be able to remember everything clearly without any mistakes. At first glance, these people could not be associated with the hidden forces because at the beginning of the game, some individual players also spoke ill of Yi Chun. It was completely unreasonable to judge them as members of the hidden forces or subordinates of the hidden forces based on the words of others. But the truth was not like this at all. Yi Chun was now at the peak of the crossing calamity stage, and he was also the lord of the reincarnation immortal city. Yu of Beach of the Great Han Empire, the great general of agile cavalry, and he had an invincible army of 41 million soldiers. No matter in terms of strength or influence, he was the strongest in the world. How could individual players dare to provoke Yi Chun like this? Even if individual players were given 10,000 guts, they would not dare to speak ill of Yi Chun. In the past, they did not understand. They were just envious and jealous of Yi Chun and spoke ill of him. It was nothing. They were ignorant and fearless. But now, there was no Eastern player in the Three Kingdoms novice area who did not know of Yi Chun's strength. He was overbearing and never showed mercy when killing people. Therefore, individual players would not dare to speak ill of Yi Chun unless they wanted to die. Did they want to die? How could it be possible? Those who could live until now did not want to die. Since they were not individual players, they could be members of various forces that were exposed. This was possible, but there was a premise. That was, there was a hidden force behind these forces. In other words, they were all subordinates of the hidden forces. One had to know that if the large and small forces that were exposed on the surface did not have the backing of a hidden force that gave them courage, they were no different from individual players. They were also afraid of being discovered by Yi Chun, who would seek revenge and kill them all. Therefore, those who spoke ill of Yi Chun were either members or subordinates of the hidden forces. And the way they schemed against Yi Chun was to encourage the players to enter the secret realm. That way, they would be able to take action in secret and scheme against Yi Chun. In the end, Yi Chun would be killed by the Zerg and die completely. After all, the fact that the insectoids would die in the real world when they killed people had already been posted on the World Channel. The hidden forces must have known about this. For the hidden forces, this was the perfect opportunity to kill Yi Chun. To be more precise, as long as the hidden force could severely injure Yi Chun, then they could kill Yi Chun in the hands of the insect race. What would the outcome be if he was killed by the insect race? He would die completely in both the game world and the real world. Therefore, this was the best opportunity for the hidden forces. If they did not seize this opportunity, it was unknown how long it would take for the hidden forces to take down Yi Chun. As for how strong Yi Chun was, it was very difficult for the hidden forces to plot against Yi Chun. It was naturally impossible for the hidden forces not to know. However, the problem was that the hidden forces were hidden because they had obtained special opportunities before the meteor fell and the Primordial world game began. It was nothing to have a legacy in hand, but the problem was that the hidden forces not only had legacies but also all kinds of powerful items. For example, the geomagnetic lightning bomb and great annihilation talisman that Yi Chun had obtained from the hidden forces were powerful items. Of course, attacking Yi Chun would not injure Yi Chun, but the problem was that the hidden forces did not think so. In their opinion, their powerful items might not be able to kill Yi Chun, but it would not be a problem to severely injure Yi Chun. Therefore, they needed someone to take the lead and attract Yi Chun's attention. This way, they would have the opportunity to attack Yi Chun with powerful items. In order to achieve this goal, the simplest and most direct method was to encourage the players to enter the secret realm. It was also because of this reason that the players who were criticizing Yi Chun in the World Channel were, without exception, trying their best to incite the emotions of the other players. This was the basis of Yi Chun's judgment, and it was not far from the truth. Jump! It's best if all of you jump out one by one, so that I don't have to look for you one by one. Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes flashed with a cold light. In the next second, Yi Chun looked directly at the remaining flesh worm of the insect race and asked, "Are you comfortable? Do you want to continue?" Hearing Yi Chun's question, the insect race from the insect race came back to its senses from the shock of seeing Yi Chun kill almost 5 trillion insect race members in an instant. Then it shuddered. Just now, Yi Chun had evolved into the congenital deluxe divine body, so he temporarily stopped torturing the flesh worm. Otherwise, no matter how shocked the flesh worm was, it would have continued to howl in pain. But now, Yi Chun's question pulled the meat worm out of its shock. In that instant, boundless fear filled the meat worm's heart and its soul, which had failed to show off and was only left with sorrow. If it was said that Yi Chun's ability to kill a large number of extraterrestrial insectoids was still within the scope of the flesh worm's understanding, then Yi Chun's valiant mass-killing technique had completely exceeded the scope of the flesh worm's understanding. A golden light flashed, and he killed 5 trillion insect race members in an instant. What kind of concept was that? The flesh worm's brain did not have the energy to think about it. This was because there was only one thought in its mind. Yi Chun was the natural enemy of the insect race, and he was the strongest natural enemy of the insect race. The flesh worm's body stiffened and its soul trembled in disbelief. Yi Chun let out a long sigh and said, "Since you don't want to talk, then continue to enjoy it." As soon as Yi Chun's words fell, the chopstick-sized lightning needle, which was completely composed of lightning, instantly trembled and then pierced towards the fat flesh worm's body again. Seeing this, the flesh worm's eyes narrowed. Then it screamed, "I'll talk. I'll talk. Stop stabbing." After hearing the flesh worm's words, Yi Chun curled his lips in disdain. Then he used his mind to stop the lightning needle. In the next second, Yi Chun looked at the flesh worm and said, "Tell me everything you know about the insect race. Don't leave out a single word. After I tell you everything, you'll have to give me a quick death." The meat worm bit down hard with its 2 mandibles and said, "Sure, tell me." Yi Chun looked at the flesh worm and said, Chapter 11:02. As soon as Yi Chun finished speaking, the flesh worm's eyes looked at the sky above the secret realm with a complicated expression, then said, "I am the vanguard of the Zerg race. My name is Jier Chubby Toot." Yi Chun was stunned when he heard this. I know this dog's status is not low, but its name is really F asterisk King Weird. Thinking of this, Yichin opened his mouth and said, let's talk about something else. Your name is not important. In the words of you humans, I don't want to be a nameless ghost, so I want you to remember my name. The flesh worm sighed and said. Yichin glanced at the flesh worm and said, that's a good idea. I didn't expect you to know so much about humans. After I came to this world, I secretly captured tens of thousands of people and ate their brains. I obtained memories related to humans, so I know a lot about humans. The flesh worm nodded and said. Yichin frowned when he heard this. Damn, this meat worm can actually obtain information by eating a human's brain. This method, this ability, this is really not the ordinary kind of evil. But then again, this meat worm had eaten a human's brain and was affected by human emotions. Otherwise, this meat worm wouldn't have succumbed to the pain it was feeling. Thinking of this, Yichin looked directly at the flesh worm and said, continue. Our race is a small branch of the insect race. We came from the Milky Way's planet Giltway. We have a population of 360 billion. We were able to sneak into this world because of the planet you are on. The flesh worm looked at Yichin with jealousy in her eyes. Then she spoke. When Yichin heard this, he could not help but frown. Damn, the Zerg race's population is just as I thought, terrifyingly large. It was just a small branch, but there were already 360 billion of them. Most importantly, these bastards are in the Milky Way galaxy. Damn, luckily they didn't rush directly to Earth. Huh? Wait a minute, why didn't they go directly to Earth? Why did they send a few Zerg Queen and Zerg Queen to Earth? Thinking of this, Yichin looked directly at the flesh worm and said, why didn't you go directly to Earth? Hearing this, the flesh worm sighed and said, originally, we didn't know the coordinates of Earth, but that day, we received a distress message from the Zerg Queen and Zerg Queen. Through the distress message, we locked onto Earth, this life planet, and planned to use Earth as our new nest to continue strengthening our race. It was because of this that our one-star general followed the coordinates in the distress message sent by the Zerg Queen and tore space directly to Earth. However, when the warlords descended, they were obstructed by the unknown energy of the solar system. As a result, only a portion of them could descend. It was also at that time that the warlord saw you and learned some information about Earth. Hearing this, you was stunned. F*CK, what's so special about the solar system? It can actually automatically restrict the Zerg from coming to Earth. Although he didn't know what was going on, there should be something unusual about the solar system. Otherwise, this situation wouldn't have happened. Thinking of this, Yichin nodded and said, continue. As soon as Yichin said this, the envy in the flesh worm's eyes became stronger. Later, you killed the general. Before he died, he sent back all the information about you and Earth. The Zerg Queen who received the information decided to attack Earth. However, when we all came to the solar system and were about to enter the solar system, we were blocked. No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't enter the solar system. The only thing that could enter was the brainwaves of our Zerg race. When Yichin heard this, he frowned once again and asked, the Zerg Queen you mentioned is the supreme leader of your Zerg race? Yes, she is our supreme leader. The flesh worm nodded without hesitation and said proudly. Seeing this, Yichin curled his lips in disdain, then asked, is it the same as the Zerg Queen I killed? As soon as Yichin said this, the flesh worm's face suddenly stiffened. Then she said, it's the same. But what you killed was only a young Queen Zerg. If it was given time to develop, Earth would become its mother nest. Then it would create a whole new race of Zerg. At that time, it would be difficult for you to kill it. Hearing this, Yichin glanced at the flesh worm, then asked, so, after you received the distress signal, you directly sent a one-star general over, not to save the Zerg Queen, but to seize the planet it discovered? Hearing this, the flesh worm nodded, then said, there's nothing wrong with what you said. The Zerg race's philosophy is to develop first. If a Zerg Queen is weak and incompetent, it must transmit the coordinates of the planet it discovered. Let the nearest Zerg race receive it. Then give up the planet it discovered. Only in this way can the Zerg race continue to develop and become stronger and stronger. Hearing this, Yichen was slightly taken aback. Then he asked, "The final outcome of the planet you occupy is destruction, right?" After hearing Yichen's question, the fleshworm nodded and said, "Yes, no nest can exist forever, so we have to constantly search for new life planets and then use them as our nest." Hearing this, Yichen curled his lips in disdain. F***CK. Isn't this a freaking parasite? And it's a universe-level parasite, destroying everything wherever it goes? It seems that the parasitic souls I'm going to capture are even worse than parasites. They can even devour non-life planets. It's different. After the parasitic souls evolve into crystallizers, they can be controlled by me. They can devour any planet I want them to, and then provide me with an endless supply of pure energy crystals. But according to the information provided by the fleshworm, the solar system really shouldn't be included in the devouring the stars plan. Although he didn't know what secrets the solar system held, at least before the secret was solved, he couldn't easily destroy the solar system. Otherwise, the Zerg race this fleshworm belonged to would be able to enter Earth unhindered. Thinking of this, Yichen looked straight at the fleshworm, then asked, "How did you sneak into this world?" Chapter 1103. As soon as Yichen finished speaking, the fleshworm raised its head proudly and said, "That's right. We, the insectoids, are blessed with a unique biological energy. In human terms, it is similar to brainwaves. However, our brainwaves can not only transmit information, but also detect spatial information. This is why we can enter this world." Slap! Yichen waved his hand and slapped the fleshworm, then shouted, "Be more specific." After being slapped by Yichen, the fleshworm's face twitched a few times before it calmed down. The next second, the fleshworm looked straight at Yichen and said proudly, "Finally, something that makes me happy. You are so strong, but you can't even understand this." Ha ha! Hearing this, Yichen's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand and slapped the meatworm again. Slap! This time, Yichen obviously used a lot of strength in a slap. In an instant, the fleshworm's sharp teeth and its long and thin tongue were sent flying. If I knew about the insectoids, I wouldn't even need to ask you. Also, don't test my patience. If you don't tell me the truth, I will continue to punish you. I will let you experience what it means to live a life worse than death. As soon as Yichen said those words, which were filled with killing intent, the fleshworm's body suddenly stiffened. Then it suddenly shuddered. In the next second, the fleshworm looked at Yichen with an unsightly expression and said, "That's right. Although we can't enter the solar system, and we can't use the coordinates you destroyed to teleport to Earth, we can use our talent, which is the brainwaves exclusive to the insectoids, to investigate Earth." One day, a 5-star warrior of our race, Big Pineapple, detected the brainwaves of a human and found that his soul had entered another world. This discovery was a pleasant surprise to our queen, because a new world opened the door for us insectoids. After a long period of investigation, we finally decided to simulate the brainwaves of a human. In the end, we succeeded. One of our people entered this world. However, the will of this world seemed to be very strong. It had a strong binding effect on us insectoids. We could only be suppressed in this small space. At this point, the fleshworm raised her head and looked at Yichen. Later, we felt that the restriction of this world's will on us was getting weaker and weaker. However, just as we were about to leave this small space and come into contact with this world, you came. Yichen was stunned when he heard this. F***CK. The will of this world should be the heavenly axiom of the newbie area. It couldn't suppress the insectoids. This was a little too much of a joke. The heavenly axiom of the newbie area was weak compared to the heavenly axiom of the eldritch world, but it was not something the insectoids could resist. However, the truth was that not only could the Heaven's Way of the Beginner's Zone not kill the alien Zerg, but it could also not seal the alien Zerg completely. Yichen found this result somewhat unbelievable. Wait a minute, Didn't this coincide with the special plot of the insectoid invasion? F***CK, it shouldn't be that the heavenly axiom of the newbie area couldn't restrict the insectoids. It should be a test specially designed for the insectoids. If the Zergs passed, they would officially gain the status of players in the game. If the insectoids failed, then the insectoids, who were extremely evil creatures, would lose their status as players forever. F***CK. Luckily, I'm strong enough. Otherwise, if the insectoid succeeded, my losses would be huge. Yi-Chun let out a long sigh. He looked at the flesh worm and asked, "Your race is now outside the solar system?" After hearing Yi-Chun's question, the flesh worm nodded and said, "Yes. Yes, we're all outside the solar system. We've surrounded the solar system. If you still have toys to watch the stars on Earth, you should be able to see us. However, your toys seem to have self-destructed because of this world." When Yi-Chun heard this, he glanced at the meat worm and asked, "What do you think? How many star-level warlords do you have in your race? What's the highest level?" The flesh worm hesitated for a moment before answering. "The number of star-level warlords in our race should be around 1 million. I'm not strong enough to check the exact number. As for the ones with the highest battle prowess in our tribe, there are 10,000 5-star battle generals in total. This is known to the entire tribe. However, it shouldn't be long before 100 5-star battle generals break through to become 6-star battle generals." When Yi-Chun heard this, he could not help but frown. "The 1-star warlord of the insectoid race that I killed before, the saber-armed demon puppet, was comparable to a celestial immortal. These 5-star warlords can't be existences above Daluo Jinxian, right? Impossible. If the insectoid race is so powerful, there shouldn't be any opponents in the universe. Wherever they go, that place will be destroyed. With that in mind." Yi-Chun looked at the flesh worm. "How strong is a 5-star warlord?" "A full-force blow from a 5-star warlord can penetrate a planet," the flesh worm replied after hearing Yi-Chun's question. "A blow that penetrates a planet. In other words, a blow that could destroy a planet is comparable to a golden immortal. Damn it, I knew it. If 1 star represents 1 level, then the insectoid race is invincible." Thinking of this, Yi-Chun nodded, then looked at the flesh worm and said, "What's the weakness of the insectoid race?" The flesh worm's expression changed when she heard this. "Human, I've already cooperated with you. Even if you torture me, I won't answer this question." "Oh." Yi-Chun glanced at the flesh worm. Then, with a thought, a chopstick-sized electric needle formed by lightning jolted and stabbed at the flesh worm. Poochie. A lightning needle as thick as a chopstick pierced through the flesh worm's broken body. Bees, the electric current ran amok, electrocuting the flesh worm and causing its body to tremble. At the same time, a shrill howl sounded from the flesh worm's mouth. Ow! As the flesh worm howled, the electric needle drilled out of its body. Puff! The sound of electric current was heard again. Bees, the pain that was 10 times stronger than before, once again assaulted the flesh worm's nerves, causing it to howl even more miserably. Ow, ow, ow. As the flesh worm howled for the second time, the electric needle did not stop. It changed direction and stabbed at the flesh worm again. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. After a few hundred times, the meat worm had been tortured to the point where it didn't even look like a worm anymore. Even so, it didn't seem like it was going to relent. Yi-Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw this. It seemed that the weakness of the insectoid race was the taboo of all insectoids. Otherwise, the flesh worm, who was afraid of pain, would not have held on until now. Yi-Chun had just thought of this when memories related to the puppet worms from his previous life suddenly surfaced in Yi-Chun's mind. At this moment, Yi-Chun's eyes lit up. F***CK. There was no need to ask about the weakness of the insectoid race. In his previous life, the puppet worms that wreak havoc on Earth were members of the extraterrestrial insect clan. Their weakness was the Queen Mother and the Insect Queen. As long as the Queen Mother and the Insect Queen were killed, these shrimp soldiers and crab generals would all die. Chapter 1104. In Yi-Chun's previous life, the puppet bugs had ravaged Earth and devoured the brains of all living things on Earth. Both the human race and the monster race had suffered from the puppet bugs' vicious attacks. Even Yi Chun in his previous life had almost fallen victim to them. At that time, if Yi Chun had not been ruthless enough to cut off half a kilogram of flesh with a knife, Yi Chun would have become a puppet bug. If that had happened, Yi Chun probably would not have been able to be reborn. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the human race and the monster race players had figured out how to deal with the puppet bugs. To be more precise, as long as they found the source of the puppet bugs, the puppet bug queen, and killed it, all the puppet bugs would die. This was also applicable to the insect race from the outer world. This was because the puppet bugs were members of the insect race from the outer world, and the puppet bug queen was the highest source of the insect race from the outer world. Although Yi Chun did not know how the insect race from the outer world evolved and developed in the future and changed into all kinds of strange bugs, he did not know what the puppet bug queen would become. However, this did not hinder Yi Chun's judgment. This was because no matter how the insect race from the outer world evolved and changed, their source was the puppet bug queen. Therefore, their life and death were tied to the puppet bug queen. If the puppet bug queen did not die, they could continue to live. If the puppet bug queen died, as the puppet bug queen's descendants, none of them could live. Of course, if the puppet bug queen was found and killed, the descendants it hatched would also die. This was the weakness of the insect race from the outer world. It was also the reason why the flesh worm in the secret realm would rather die than say anything. This was because once it said something, the secret of the insect race from the outer world would be leaked, and the puppet bug queen would be greatly threatened. Once the puppet bug queen died, the entire insect race from the outer world would not be able to live. The result would be the extinction of the entire race. As a member of the insect race from the outer world, no matter how afraid of pain and torture the flesh worm was, it did not dare to say anything, let alone say anything. Because of this restriction, which was almost like a law, it had been written in every gene and cell of the insect clan by the queen of the insect clan when it was born. Thinking of this, Yi Chun raised his eyebrows. He then looked at the twitching flesh worm and asked, "What do you think?" "Actually, even if you don't tell me, I already know. As long as I kill your queen, it's the same as destroying your entire race. Am I right? You? How did you know? No one could betray the Empress. No one dares to betray Mother Empress." The flesh worm yelled in a shrill voice. When Yi Chun heard this, the corners of his mouth curled up. Damn it, I managed to trick him. My deduction was right. The weakness of the insect race is the queen mother. Just as Yi Chun was thinking of this, the flesh worm suddenly thought of something and screamed, "Did the Mother Empress who descended to Earth tell you? Traitor, it will never return to its ancestral land. Its soul will be tortured for eternity." When Yi Chun heard this, his eyes lit up. He looked at the flesh worm and asked, "Where's the ancestral land of the insect clan?" The ancestral land had another name, which was the birthplace. It did not matter what the ancestral land of the insect clan was like. What was important was that the birthplace of any super race would definitely have something good. And this was Yi Chun's goal. In any case, he would have to face the insect race sooner or later. If he could learn more about the insect race, Yi Chun naturally didn't want to know less. At first glance, it was a little confusing. The insect clan's path to becoming a player had been blocked by Yi Chun. They could not reach Earth. Why would they have to face the insect clan sooner or later? But this was the truth. After Yi Chun ascended to the Eldritch world, he would definitely prepare the crazy plan of devouring the universe. When the time came, Yi Chun would definitely leave Earth and go to the universe. Through the flesh worm, Yi Chun knew that the solar system was not normal. Therefore, the solar system was excluded from the plan of devouring the universe by Yi Chun. Even so, Yi Chun's plan of devouring the universe had to be carried out. The problem was that the insect clan army that the flesh worm belonged to was just outside the solar system. They surrounded the solar system. If Yi Chun wanted to carry out the crazy plan of devouring the universe, he would have to leave the solar system. In this way, Yi Chun would have to face the insect clan that the flesh worm belonged to. When the time came, a huge battle would be inevitable. As long as Yi-chun made a move, his information would definitely be sent out by the bug race that the flesh worm was in. When the time came, there would be an endless stream of insect clans targeting the solar system, Earth, and Yi-chun. If this did not count as a fight with the insect clan, then what was? The flesh worm stopped screaming as soon as Yi-chun finished speaking. Then, she looked at Yi-chun with bloodshot eyes and roared. Human, didn't the traitor tell you that if you want to know about the ancestral land, ask it? Only the queen knows about the ancestral land. When Yi-chun heard this, he glanced at the flesh worm and said, You can die now. Chapter 1105. As soon as Yi-chun finished his sentence, he raised his right hand and clenched his fist in the air. Boom! The fat body of the flesh worm instantly exploded, and dark green liquid splattered all over the place. At this moment, an illusory soul suddenly flew out of the flesh worm's body. However, as soon as it flew out of the flesh worm's body, it was ignited by the demonic blood-red lotus and burned into nothingness. At this moment, millions of weak yet tenacious fluctuations burst out from the soul that had been burned into nothingness. In the blink of an eye, they collided with the soul consciousness barrier that Yi-chun had created with his soul consciousness. Buzz, 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 the dense sound of collisions rang out, and then millions of tiny green smoke appeared and dissipated into nothingness. Yi-chun saw this and smiled coldly. You want to make a final struggle before you die? Trying to send out information about me? You think too much. Just as Yi-chun thought of this, the system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-chun for killing the vanguard of the insectoids. Special reward to player Yi-chun. Innate merit points x 100,000. As soon as the system notification ended, Yi-chun looked straight at the army of players who had rushed into the secret realm a second before he decided to kill the flesh worm. However, they did not dare to approach the secret realm because of the demonic blood-red lotus that had expanded to a radius of 500 miles. At the same time, they could not leave the secret realm either. Thud, thud, thud. As Yi-chun looked at them, the dense sound of footsteps could be heard. Without exception, all the players who had rushed into the secret realm involuntarily retreated a few steps under Yi-chun's gaze. There were more than 3 million players in total. Among them were members of the hidden factions, subordinates of the hidden factions, and casual players who were blinded by greed. Looking at the panicked expressions of the players, Yi-chun curled his lips in disdain. At this moment, a world announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-chun for completing the special storyline mission, Invasion of the Zergs. Special reward to player Yi-chun. Innate merit x 50 trillion. Supreme Spirit Stones x 100 million. Swordsman, Formula of the 9 Esotericas x1. Holy City Promotion Order, Supreme, x1. The world announcement was repeated 3 times in a row, instantly causing the entire world channel to explode. F***CK. F***CK. It can't be. Yi-yu of Gojosian has only been in the dungeon for a few minutes, and he has already completed the special storyline mission Zerg Invasion? Nonsense. The world announcement has already been made, and it's repeated 3 times. Don't you know how to read it? Hee. Yi-yu of Gojosian is domineering, mighty, and invincible. Of course, Yi-yu of Gojosian is the #1 player in the East. Oh no, the world's #1. There's nothing that Yi-yu of Gojosian can't do. I say, didn't you see the rewards that Yi-yu of Gojosian received? If we had also participated in this special storyline mission, at least the innate merit and supreme spirit stones would have been rewarded. At least no one would have received any of those rewards. Idiot, aren't you afraid of being killed by the Zergs? Aren't you afraid of dying in both the game world and the real world at the same time? F***CK, they're just Zergs. How strong can they be? Didn't Yi-chun also kill the Zergs in the dungeon very quickly? F***CK, I said you're stupid, and you're really stupid. Why don't you think about what realm Yi-yu of Gojosian is at? What realm are you at? Yi Yu of Gojoseon took a few minutes to complete this mission. Do you think you would have an easy time if it were you? Why bother with this idiot? He's an idiot. All right, he's the same as the group of people who entered the secret realm to participate in the Zerg Invasion special storyline mission. He's definitely not a good person. That's right. Yi Yu of Gojoseon has already brought us so many benefits. If it weren't for Yi Yu of Gojoseon, I wouldn't even be able to reach the pre-celestial state now. Moreover, I'm wearing a set of trash equipment and struggling at death's door in the real world. Unlike now, I've not only reached the pre-celestial state, but I've also become an Emperor-level general with a set of Black-level soul equipment. Any beast that touches me will die. Me too. Although I'm not as lucky as you, I've also become an Emperor-level general with a set of Black-level soul equipment. I'm also not afraid of the Zergs. You idiots. Do you know what an extreme Great Spirit Stone is? I'll tell you. If you can get one, in less than a month, even a pig can reach the mortal evolution state. Do you know what the mortal evolution state is? Let me tell you, it's an existence beyond the pre-celestial state. It's very powerful. Even so, what can I do? I won't be tricked by you idiots and not listen to Yi Yu of Gojoseon's order to enter the secret realm. The world channel was abuzz. Yichen glanced at it and sneered. Then, he looked at the player army that entered the secret realm. These bastards could go and die. Yichen was able to confirm one thing because of the player's comments on the world channel. The hidden faction was plotting against him because of the Zerg's ability to completely kill players. Just now, when Yi Chen's interrogation of the flesh worm was about to end, these players quietly snuck into the secret realm. What did this mean? It was very simple. The hidden faction began to plot against Yi Chen. However, before they could even begin their plot, they discovered something that made them extremely dumbfounded. In the secret realm, other than Yi Chen and the insectoid caught by Yi Chen's giant hand, there were no other insectoids. What did this mean? Very simple. The insectoids were killed by Yi Chen until only one insectoid was left. Moreover, the insectoid was caught by Yi Chen. Under such circumstances, how could the hidden faction dare to make a move? After all, they were planning to kill Yi Chen in one fell swoop with the help of the extraterrestrial insect tribe. This was the only way they could guarantee that Yi Chen would be completely killed. Once Yi Chen died, the mountain that was pressing down on the heads of the hidden factions would disappear. After that, the hidden factions would become the top factions in the East, or even the entire world. They would be able to rule over a region, and they would no longer have to listen to Yi Chen. They would no longer have to worry about Yi Chen's inhuman existence. They would be able to enjoy the feeling of being superior and do things without any scruples. This was the hidden faction's idea, and they put it into action. Now that Yi Chen had confirmed this, how could he show mercy to these players who snuck into the secret realm? Of course, there were also solo players who were encouraged. Yi Chen did not deny this point. But so what? Since he had been instigated and participated, he should be prepared to die. Yi Chen wasn't going to let them off just because they had been instigated. To Yi Chen, he could not interfere with what others thought. However, as long as someone attacked him, Yi Chen would only do one thing, and that was to kill them all. Thinking of this, Yi Chen waved his right hand. The black and thick connate cardinal treasure Godslayer instantly appeared in Yi Chen's right hand. Seeing Yi Chen use the God-slaying spear, the players, who were already feeling uneasy, suddenly froze. Then, they once again took a few steps back. Chapter 1106. At this moment, an extreme sense of panic erupted from the army of players who had infiltrated the secret realm. This was the game world. Being killed would result in a drop in level, but that was only under normal circumstances. However, at this moment, it was an abnormal situation. This was because Yi Chen had taken out the God Slayer. If Yi Chen didn't use the God Slayer, the players would at most be afraid, but they wouldn't be so terrified. However, once Yi Chen used the God Slayer against the players, it wouldn't be a simple death in the game world. It would be a complete death in both the game world and the real world. It was for this reason that the players were so fearful and fearful. It couldn't be helped. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Yi Chun was the #1 player in the world, the strongest player in the world. Before this, he had killed no less than 10 million people. Moreover, he had killed them all. Anyone who saw the murderous Yi Chun take out the Godslayer would be afraid. This was especially so when they were scheming to rob Yi Chun of his benefits and even kill Yi Chun. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Suddenly, the sound of people swallowing their saliva could be heard one after another. Yi Chun, who was in the depths of the huge, demonic blood lotus, twitched his mouth in disdain when he saw this. A bunch of ants, filthy vermin. How dare they scheme against me? They must be tired of living. Just as Yi Chun thought of this, a player dressed as a leader who had infiltrated the secret realm tried his best to calm his violently beating heart. Then, he stepped forward and bowed to Yi Chun. Your humble servant, Wang Bu Air, pays his respects to Yi Yu of Gojoseon. Yi Chun smiled coldly and said, Are you ready to die? Are you ready to die? Wang Bu Air's expression changed drastically when he heard Yi Chun's words. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, wait a moment. Please listen to this humble one. Wang Bu Air's voice was trembling. It was obvious that his heart was filled with fear. Otherwise, such a situation would not have happened. When Yi Chun heard Wang Bu Er's words, he glanced at Wang Bu Er and then said, You can die now. After Yi Chun finished speaking, he flew up into the air and headed straight for Wang Bu Er. Seeing this, Wang Bu Er's pupils shrank and she screamed, What are you waiting for? Do it. Wang Bu Er was a subordinate of a hidden force. He wanted to explain himself and dissolve Yi Chun's killing intent. Then, he could erase this plot against Yi Chun and pretend that it never happened. After all, the Zergs had been killed by Yi Chun. Their plan of using the Zergs to kill Yi Chun could no longer be carried out. If they forcefully carried out the plan, even if they could kill Yi Chun would only lose 10 levels. Then, Yi Chun would still be the strongest among the players. After this, Yi Chun would definitely target all the forces and launch a destructive revenge. In the end, he would destroy all the forces. Whether it was the game world or the real world, it was the same. If someone else did this, no one would believe that they could do it. However, this person was none other than Yi Chun, the demon king of killing who could kill tens of millions of people without blinking an eye. Yi Chun. If Yi Chun was completely enraged, it was possible that he would destroy the world. This was what Wang Bu Er was worried about. Therefore, he wanted to use this explanation to dissolve Yi Chun's killing intent and resolve this misunderstanding. Of course, Wang Bu Er did this not because he was compassionate, but because he was worried that Yi Chun would be implicated and killed. Unfortunately, his idea was destined to be a fantasy because Yi Chun did not care about this at all. To be more precise, once Yi Chun's killing intent was triggered, he would not care what excuse Wang Bu Er used. As soon as Wang Bu Er finished speaking, the 3 million players who had snuck into the secret realm immediately recovered from their fear. At the same time, an angry roar was heard. Mother Curs, I've been tricked. These bastards deliberately instigated me to enter the secret realm. As soon as this player's angry and fearful words were heard, countless solo players came to a realization. They hurriedly looked at Yi Chun and shouted in fear. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, I've been blinded by Lard. Please let me go. I really just want to get some benefits. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, I'm not going against you. I swear that I've never thought of attacking you. Yi Yu of Gojoseon, I swear to the heavens that I've never thought of colluding with this group of trash. Please let me go. As the solo players came to a realization, they shouted one after another. It was very noisy. As for the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates, their expressions changed again and again. They did not expect Wang Bu Er to settle the matter with just a few words. He did not give them any chance to continue trying to convince Yi Chun. At this moment, the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates all glared at Wang Bu Er before looking directly at Yi Chun. Do it. After a loud shout, the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates all took out their tools and aimed them at the rapidly approaching Yi Chun. When Yi Chun saw this, he smiled coldly. He then raised his left hand and sucked in the air. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After the sound of the air, being torn apart was heard. The tools that the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates had taken out all flew out of their hands and rapidly flew towards Yi Chun. In the blink of an eye, these tools that were flying rapidly towards Yi Chun disappeared without a trace. When the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates saw this, they were all stunned. How? How could this be? F*CK, F*CK, run. After an inexplicable scream of terror, the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates all turned around and rushed towards the entrance of the secret realm. Previously, when they had discovered that there were no Zergs in the secret realm, they had immediately tried to leave the secret realm. Unfortunately, although their thoughts were good, the reality was cruel. This was because the secret realm at the bottom of Mount Fujoshan had already turned into a plot space. They could only enter and not leave. Now that the plot mission had ended, they did not know whether they could leave or not. However, they had to try. If they could, they would quickly leave the secret realm and run as far away as possible. Otherwise, they would definitely be stabbed to death by Yi Chen's Godslayer. Then, they would completely die in the game world and in the real world. No one wanted to die. Therefore, they frantically ran towards the entrance of the secret realm. Just as the members of the hidden forces and their subordinates were frantically running towards the entrance of the secret realm, Yi Chun arrived in front of Wang Bu'er. Without hesitation, he stabbed the Godslayer in his right hand towards Wang Bu'er, whose body was stiff and whose pupils were dilated. Puffed. Wang Bu'er's heart was instantly pierced through by the Godslayer. Then it came out of his body. Bang! Wang Bu'er did not even have time to react before his body exploded. Then, pieces of flesh and blood splattered all over the sky. At the same time, the Godslayer's dark light flashed and then swallowed Wang Bu'er's soul. At this moment, many players ran to the entrance of the secret realm. However, the moment they tried to rush through the entrance of the secret realm, a powerful force appeared instantly. Then, all the players who tried to enter the secret realm's entrance were bounced into the air. Seeing this, Yi Chun smiled coldly. If it was in the past, I would not be able to control so many people by myself, let alone the entrance of the secret realm. But now I am at the peak of the crossing calamity stage. You want to come and go as you please in front of me? Dream on. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.